Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our podcast network, head to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Constellation, Last Stand Media's conversational podcast, the greatest of the Last Stand Media podcast. I am your host, Dagster Moriarty. Things are going to be a little unhinged today. I'm doing the thing that I always make fun of in podcasts where I'm holding my mic.
Yeah, I hate that.
Broadcasting to you live from a mysterious, undisclosed location, not at home. And I think it's funnier if I just don't say where I am. I don't think we're going to talk about it for another second.
It's like a CIA black site in Fredericksburg or something. We're in the homeland.
I was going to say you wish, but why would you wish that? I don't know.
I don't wish that at all. I mean, I don't really care. But are you not at the beach? I thought maybe you were at the beach.
Yeah, we're down at the beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that exciting.
Yeah, we're down at the beach for Easter weekend, just chilling. And my setup, it's the mic arm. Everything is fine. I even have some stuff to keep down here for the rare occasion that I have to do a show from Jersey. But it's the fucking mic arm. It just doesn't, like you need a heavy duty surface, like a heavy duty desk to secure it because it's so bulky and it weighs like 100 pounds. So I'm going to be holding my mic. We're going to be doing I wish I had the Bob Barker mic, the skinny mic.
Oh my God, those are the best.
That would be amazing.
The Gene, what the fuck was that guy's name? Gene Raycroft? No, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
He had one of those as well. And he used to wear brown suits with the huge lapels that went like halfway to the shoulder. He looked like an Oompa Loompa or something. I don't know what the fuck kind of suit. Actually, we looked like Willy Wonka, I guess, is the suit I'm really like trying to look for.
It's
not
true.
Even an Oompa Loompa.
You got to have the butterfly collar if you're going to have that mic.
Did we talk about
the Oompa Loompas never wore suits?
No, they did. That's what I was saying. I was thinking of Oompa Loompas, but then I'm like, no, it's Willy Wonka's suit is what I'm actually thinking of. We talked about the Tim Dillon Oompa Loompa thing, which is like the funniest thing I heard in a long time. Shout out to Long Island's own Tim Dillon, where he's talking about the Oompa Loompa family and how the Oompa Loompa dad gets fired from the factory and all the rest. It's so good. Oh, I love it. Dagan and I have been talking a lot about Tim Dillon lately. The fake work one I sent you is,
oh, dude,
it's hysterical when he talks
fake
about how
business.
he has fake business, and he just like calls random like real estate agents and he was talking about how he's almost got a deal going for like his fake client.
But then they died of COVID.
Yeah,
right. Then his client died of COVID, mysteriously died of COVID.
You must know Tim Dillon, Chris.
Yeah.
He's funny as fuck. We like him. He's got
his
that Long Island
rants,
flavor.
though. I want you to weigh in on this, you guys. Like his rants are so amazing, and the way he just goes beat to beat and doesn't, like it's completely seamless.
Yeah, he vamps like no one. I actually have noticed that. Like,
do you think it's completely unplanned?
Well, I think he probably has an idea of things that are funny, and then I think he just finds his way through them.
Then he flows. That's interesting. Yeah. He is to be appreciated. But like I was saying to you, his old co-host Ben, which they had a huge falling out apparently. Now Ben has his own YouTube show and stuff. It wasn't really a co-host. He was more of an editor, sort of producer type.
Like a Robin.
Like a Robin. But chimed in even less than Robin. Much less, actually. But it was just Ben's reactions of laughing hysterically to things that Tim would say that was part of the formula for me. It was almost like a laugh track, but a little more authentic. But anyway, I miss Ben. But shout out to Tim Dillon. Listen, let's just stay on that. Let me go around, say hello. Chris. Now, this first fella, my fave, I've said that many times. I always feel bad for him when he's on the shows, when he's on Constellation, because
I feel bad for him too.
10 a.m. there. Yeah. And I don't know if I could swing that. Chris, what's going on, my dude?
I'm doing okay. I'm allergies are really kicking my ass today. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's although why would I lie about that? It's insane. Yeah. I think I'm only realizing now that I'm not like I'm paying special attention to these like weird like little idioms that people say just to flesh out a sentence, and I'm realizing that none of them actually make any sense. Like I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, exactly.
With the presupposition that I would in fact. But They are really murdering me. And to be fair, like the last 10 years, in the last 10 years that I've lived in LA, like I've literally seen the climate I've literally seen it shift. I don't think I've ever seen that before in my life or been like cognizant of that. But I was here when it was like, you know, it would be December in Glendale or Burbank, and it would be like 75 degrees coldest at night, you know, in the middle of December. And now it's like, you know, we're in the 50s regularly. And so like there's a lot more plant growth. There's a lot more rain. And because of that, there's a lot more pollen. It's crazy. Like in the last like couple of years, I've seen pollen like clouds, you know, and I remember seeing that at home in New York and like, you know, on the East Coast a lot, but never out here in my first like 5 years.
It's like the spores in The Last of Us. Ellie, put on your mask.
Oh yeah. It's crazy. But
my horrible Joel.
Was that Joel?
Was that Joel?
Ellie. Sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good. It's but you know, outside of that, it's, everything's peachy keen.
Okay.
You know,
I feel like you need the warmer weather in Southern California. That sells it. Without that, I don't know what you got out there.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's still, you get that in the summer, but like I feel like you get that in the summer everywhere.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, so I don't really. I mean, outside of like Antarctica or something. But
what do you have in Southern California without the warm weather? Well,
food.
You don't want to hear me say it. No,
still have less rain, which is good.
It's still. I'm really exaggerating. It's not nearly as it's still warm. You know, like it's 59 degrees right now, which is not by any means cold. It's just like not the warmth that I thought it would be.
Sure.
By this point. And it's I'll take it over like, you know, 0 degrees and shoveling snow and, you know, slipping down a staircase and cracking your fucking prefrontal cortex on it. You know, like it's, dude, I slipped down so many stairs like in New York when I was just like, when I would be out there cracking the ice, you know, and making sure my parents wouldn't slip and shatter into glass.
It's miserable.
And my parents had a long driveway too. That was what was really miserable about it. It's just like they bought the most inconvenient house possible with this long ass driveway, and it was on a slope. And so like, if you slipped,
that's the worst.
Dangerous.
If you slipped, it was like suddenly like you're playing, you were like doing, you know, luge.
Oh yeah, of course. I love the luge.
Which, by the way, I haven't heard of that in. I don't think I've seen like luging or whatever the hell you would call it.
You only see it every 4 years.
Yeah.
Like on TV,
sense.
You know, like otherwise you're not paying attention to like the World Luging Federation or something.
Oh, right.
The World Luging Federation. The last time I saw it was in like Rocket Power animated in like 2003.
Rocket Power. I haven't thought of that show in a long time. Yeah. That was after my time, but that was like everywhere. That's true. You know what's even better than luge, and Mike and I laugh about this, is sometimes because I think it's so funny, is skeleton. Do you know that sport? It's luge, but it started in the 90s and it's an Olympic sport. There's Olympic skeleton. It's a winter sport where it's luging with one person. Oh. And it's fucking nut. Like these people are flying, dude. Like I'm like, what is, it's so, it looks so fun, but it's like, dude, you better hope you're dead. It's like dying on a motorcycle or something if you go off that track or fly or like lose your ski or whatever you're on or whatever. It's like you're done. Well, and you could be done at the top. Like, and just your body just kind of will go down the slide.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. Make no mistake, you will finish.
Yeah, you'll fit.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll be alive for it, but you'll reach the bottom. Is that why they call it? Is that why they call it skeleton? Because you die?
Maybe. I don't know why they call it skeleton. The funny thing about it though is that you lay down on your chest, so luging is on your back, and you run at the beginning. You run with the slide and get as much momentum as possible, and then just run and leap, and then you go and you fucking fly down this thing. What? I can't believe you guys have never seen skeleton. It's so
I've
fucking
never
awesome.
Seen this.
Oh my god, yeah. It's,
you know what,
it's
I would bet $1 million though on the fact that like that probably feels amazing.
Probably
it's probably so fun.
Oh yeah, it's probably
thrilling.
Probably the closest
is it
thing
the
you
same
get to flying.
Type of vessel that they're in, like that sort of metallic bullet thing that you just kind of lay?
No,
inside?
it's like, dude, it's like a flat. I'll find a picture for you.
That's interesting.
It's like a car door.
It kind of like is a car door, yeah. I mean, it's like a small. Here, I'll just this link is just just a Google search link, so it'll just bring up a bunch of stuff for you. I think that'll work. Yeah, it works.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Yeah, there's no other bodies to cushion you if like there's something comforting about a group illusion.
Yeah, do you see it?
Wow. Yeah.
That almost looks like those weird like
holy
there's
shit.
like those public school scooters. Like those little square things with like the little flat squares with the 4 wheels on them that they would tell you are scooters. I almost said school. I almost said
right. Yeah.
Safety Town. Yeah, Safety Town. That's exactly what I was going to say. It was Safety Town. Chris must have done Safety Town.
Yeah, that was a New York thing.
Yeah. Did you do Safety Town? Like it was the thing in elementary school where you learned like the rules of the road, but you drove on these little scooters in gym, and they would put down like mats that were like roads and stop signs and shit.
Yeah, those are like moving.
I remember
that was as close as I ever got to getting my license.
It really was.
That's about as far as I went with Safety Town with it.
You could have done the Wonder Years narration, and this is Colin wouldn't know this, but this would be the closest you would ever get to a driver's license,
right?
As a 3rd grader or whatever. Oh, it's so great, dude. That skeleton thing is crazy because you're just you have a helmet on, but that's not going to do anything.
That's what I'm saying. It's over for you. Like you have to see it in in action.
It seems like
to see how fast it is. It's so. I think I want to say it premiered in Nagano, so that would have been 1998, and that's a useful and interesting Winter Olympics for hockey fans because that was the first time the NHL could send their players. So that was the first time like it was the Olympic hockey was finally like unleashed, as it were.
That is so ridiculous.
You got to be out of your mind to do this. I wonder,
I love the Winter Olympics. I think the Winter Olympics are fucking awesome because it's just so many random things.
It's a lot of
stuff. I look for some of this shit, like where I'm like, oh god, I got it. It's like the World Cup when it comes around every 4 years. Although we weren't in it last time, so it will have been 8 years by the time the next World Cup. It's like, oh, when are the United States playing? I just want us to win so that it annoys the fuck out of everyone, and that's going to be more than ever this time. The World Cup this year or next year is here.
Yeah,
so we automatically get in, so we don't have to.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe they'll pull it. Well, that's what I was going to say. It was like, it's more important than ever that we win. Now, we're not going to. But do you remember, I don't know how close you follow, but in 22, I guess it was, we just didn't even make the World Cup. And that was like a really big deal. Like we just fucking flamed out and we didn't actually certify or whatever for it. You have to win a certain amount of things. And it's like kind of trivial compared to some of the teams that are getting in, like random teams always get in, and the United States just didn't make it, and everyone's like, dude, what the fuck? But when you host it, you automatically get in.
Oh, I didn't know. So it's 2026, right?
Yeah.
It's Philly and Atlanta, right?
I think it's like a bunch of places, which is awesome. I think Canada or Mexico might even be in it. I think it might be all 3 of us or something in a North American sort of thing.
Oh, that's cool. That's kind of nice.
We have the best infrastructure to host things like that, by a mile.
Makes sense.
So that's the beauty of it, is like when Qatar or something has to do all this work and build all these things, but it's like, no, we actually you can just play in all the football stadiums.
You have it, yeah.
It's totally fine. It's probably better than a lot of the buildings that you'd play in other places. So, but it's vital. We have to show up in the World Cup. It's vital that we show up in the World Cup in 2026, or I don't know what else we're going to do.
Yeah, you don't want to get embarrassed at home.
And everyone hates us, so we have to do something. We have to do something. That World Cup team better show up. Yeah, we're probably going to get, the other thing that happens in the World Cup, which is funny, and people wait for it until the very end, is that you get put into random groups of 4 countries. So, and then you play everyone in round robin, and then you move on.
Right.
So it's always interesting to see the countries you're paired with too. And I'm pretty sure last time we were paired with Iran, I think that was right, which was really interesting.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
I need to pay closer attention to this because it is interesting.
It's super interesting. Soccer is a great game. It's just, listen, I don't want to get into it, but I'm going to get into it right now.
Get into it a little bit.
The timekeeping in soccer is so nonsensical that it fucking annoys the shit out of me. It's something I can't not focus on. And I brought it up in the past. People here that have been a long time fans know this about me. It's like, they're like, okay, 90 minutes, go, and then the clock just runs until halftime. And then they're like, yeah, but we'll play 3 more minutes at the end of the half. And that's what they do. And they're like, okay, here's just 3 more random minutes. No one's really keeping the time.
Right.
And then at some point they'll be like, all right, the half's over. And I'm like, what? Like, it annoyed me so much. This is so nerdy, but in 2010, I guess it was, the United States played. What's the small African country that always kills us in the Olympics or in the World Cup? I can't remember.
Nigeria?
Ghana.
Oh,
it's Ghana. We have like this weird rivalry with Ghana in soccer. It's very strange. And they were up by a goal. Was this 2014 maybe even? And they were just, the ball would go out of bounds and they would just walk slowly to the ball and then walk slowly to the line and like throw the ball and like with no urgency. And I'm like, I don't understand why the clock doesn't stop when the ball's out of bounds. Or like when you score, the clock keeps going.
Yeah, that's really, we're not used to that with American
penalties.
Compare
the
that
clock
to American
keeps going.
sports.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. People are like, football's time. No, I'm like, no, football's time is completely manipulable. Like there are rules when the clock runs. There are rules when the clock stops. If you don't know that, you don't understand football. To compare the two of them, like you want the game to go fast sometimes. Sometimes you want the game to go slow, and there are tools for you to use to make that happen in
Makes
football.
Makes sense. Sure.
That's the shit where people are like, oh, it's the same thing. I'm like, no, it's not. That bothers the fuck out of me.
What are the reasons behind that?
I think their whole thing is like, it's just a fluid game. We do add the extra time or whatever they call it at the end. And in my whole life, honest to Christ, my whole life, I'm the only person I've ever heard that had a problem with this. Like, it's crazy. Like I've never said it to someone and they'd be like, yeah, you're right. It's always like either a glazed over look like Chris has right now. Right. or it's like with Europeans or whatever. And, South Americans and people where it's a big part of their culture, they're just like, no, that's just the way it kind of is. The one thing people love about soccer is no commercials because the clock doesn't stop. You can't cut away. So the games really do take as long as they say they're going to take.
That is actually pretty nice.
It's not like sitting at a baseball game and it's like, Jesus Christ, dude, we've been in the top of the fourth for 45 minutes.
They get their ad in time though. Look at the jerseys, right? Mm-hmm. The billboards in the stadium. The
billboards in soccer are famous because they're huge, and PlayStation's always in those. That's where I kind of started tuning in when I was younger. I noticed that. I noticed when I was a kid. I was like, oh, PlayStation must be pretty big in Europe. Because it's always there.
That's really fascinating. I love that, looking at it from that angle. That's, culturally, that's really neat. Yeah. And, Ted Lasso taught me a little bit about soccer because I'm very ignorant. I never really played as a kid. And, like a lot of Americans, I, wasn't following professional soccer. It started to become a thing in the 80s, I feel like. Correct me if I'm wrong, where American cities had started to have professional soccer teams.
Yeah,
right?
There was I don't really understand it. You might know more about this. It's like there were teams in the 70s and 80s that played in the United States, and we would attract. Like Pele came and played, didn't he? Over in the Astro, what is it called? Like the Astro Stars or something. Remember there was like a team, or the Metro Stars. Maybe it was the Metro Stars.
Oh,
something like that.
Metro Stars.
But that was before Major League Soccer, and then so there was something going on, and then I think after 1994 when we hosted the World Cup, that famous World Cup that we hosted, we didn't play well or anything, but it was big for us. I remember. Remember it was the dog, the little cartoon dog.
Yes. Yeah.
Chris was probably too young to remember this, but that little cartoon dog was everywhere on all of there's merch and shit.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of legitimized soccer more in the US. And then I
put
think
it on the map a little bit more.
And then I think they started to invest more in Major League Soccer. I won't say his name, but there's a player. I've said this in the past. There's a Major League Soccer. He's retired now. There was a somewhat substantial player that was a listener.
Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know this.
I know who it is, but I don't want to blow him up.
Yeah.
But we've talked and interacted in a way. I thought that was kind of neat. But I think the game is incredibly grueling and it's fun. And I played a little bit. I played a little bit in middle school when I was in Maine. And then I was the goalie on IGN's indoor soccer team for 2 years, I want to say. Something like that.
I only want you to tell me who it is if I guess it.
Okay.
Is it David Beckham?
No, it's not David Beckham. No.
That's the only soccer player.
That might be the only soccer player I'd even know at this point.
That's all I know too. So I'll stop guessing now.
Alexei Lalas. Remember him?
No.
Really? He was a big player in the 90s.
Player,
he had great hair. He used to do Head and Shoulders commercials for many years.
Oh yeah, he sounds handsome with that name. That makes me mad. The super athletic, super handsome soccer player shouldn't be able to have both things. That's not just.
Dude, the amount that they just run.
And rich.
You need to be a homunculus. just a complete brute with uneven eyes and a sewn shut mouth.
You look like sloth.
Ball. Yeah, kick the
You could be
damn
good
ball.
or you could be handsome.
Right.
You can even be rich and handsome or rich and good, but you can't be both. You can't be all three, I should say.
Right. It's like that triangle of choice. that everybody
Makes
does.
sense. That seems fair.
Dude.
Yeah.
All I have to say is that I wish we had some footage of these soccer teams that we played on. We were in San Francisco. We used to play in South San Francisco, which is like a more industrial part in an indoor league. And we would play teams straight up that spoke no English.
That's amazing.
And they would fucking murder us. Like, I'm not even like a group of Spanish dudes coming home from their trade jobs or whatever, all working. It's us, bunch of white dudes from the video game industry. We were actually called at one point Fran's Blazers, which is hysterical, which Fran was like our best player. And everyone thought that was really funny.
That's a great name.
Man,
Fran wasn't enough.
No, I mean, it was funny. It was like men's league hockey, which is like there's a few people that know how to play and then everyone else. And you're just hoping for the best, really.
The variety and skill levels is what makes it funny.
It was funny. Like, I remember our music editor Spence was like one of the players, and he was like he tried. He just wanted to work out and he was really bad. I was bad. I mean, I'm not a natural. I'm a goalie in hockey. It's like I was a goalie in soccer when I played too, but I'm like I don't really understand the game like that. Like I don't know. It's different. It's angular. Well, a goalie in it's all angular and stuff. But I'm like, where am I supposed to be really? Like, what is the best idea? And I was just getting lit up. Just absolutely fucking lit up. I remember too, I had a mohawk that summer.
Oh, so
I looked extra crazy.
Yeah.
And it was funny. The year that, this is the best part. It was the year that Passion of the Christ came out. And I really liked it. So mom bought me a cross and I just had that on. So I looked like a fucking crazy person. Yeah. Like a big silver cross dangling from my chest, like over my jersey.
It all works though. This imagery is working for some reason.
You got a cross for Passion of the Christ. That is a really hilarious detail.
That's great.
Yeah, it is what happened is like I went and saw Passion of the Christ with this girl that I was friends with in college. And then I was like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, well, like literally.
Yeah.
And I was like, I gotta show some more respect to this man. And then I was about to go to be an intern. That was my second internship, and mom gave me that cross. And ironically, the end of it is I lost it in one of those games and never found it.
Oh no.
You know what I'm really bummed about with Jesus is that like we only really know him as like a fresh baby and a 33-year-old man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of time missing.
Yeah, there's no like I wish we had like HBO's Teen Jesus.
You know Mel Gibson is working on this, right? Is that why you're bringing this up? He really is. He's doing like a prequel. He's doing like another. It's not a prequel and it's not a sequel. I'm not even making this up. I think he's really working on this.
No, I thought there was a Passion of the Christ too.
He's doing it.
Yeah, like there is something.
But I think it's even any information about this man outside of his birth and the fact that like when he was 33.
It's a really good point.
Yeah, I think it's all what they would call apocryphal, like things that were written well afterwards. So like the contemporary stuff would be like the Roman historians. And then, so I think they always say it's like Jesus's birth is true. John the Baptist existed and was killed. And then Jesus was crucified. Well, that happened out of order. But those are like the three facts. You know what I mean?
Anything else would be kind of damn near fan fiction, wouldn't it? Like, I don't know what else you would. It's like the Holy Grail, where like that's never really mentioned in any real way in actual like religious text. Right. Like the most that the Holy Grail is ever mentioned in the Bible is that it's like one sentence where like, and he picked up a cup, and that was like that's the entire. And somebody was like, oh, I wonder what that cup is, and then they put it in Indiana Jones.
Right, exactly.
And that's the entire chronology of the Holy Grail.
But the movie is the resurrection of the Christ, so that makes sense, and it's slated for 2026.
It's Mel Gibson, right?
Yeah, it is. It's Mel Gibson. It's described as a sequel.
That was the conceit. Like, what happened? What was Jesus? That's the thing nobody knows. And I could see Mel Gibson like going like straight up outsiders with it. Like it's like teenage badass like gang initiation Jesus. You know, because it's Mel Gibson, so he's got to make it. I don't know. I just feel like that's his flavor. He's going to try to make it cool.
I don't know. I can't even imagine. I can't even fathom what that would be. I can't even imagine. I don't even understand how that wouldn't be disrespectful to do that. But like, we'll see. I guess.
Yeah, I hear you on that. He's gonna be walking a tightrope. But it's brave.
I love that picture of him talking to the guy that played Jesus, like on the set.
Yeah.
Where they're like next to each other, and Jesus is he's got the crown of thorns, and he's all fucked up. But he's like sitting there listening to him, and Mel Gibson just looks totally normal.
Dude, that's insane.
Those are my favorite. Those are my favorite. Like, there's like a great photo of Bill Hader on the set of It talking to what's his name, the Skarsgård who played the clown on the new one, and he's telling him a joke, and then like Pennywise is laughing, but it's like because it's like off, but it looks ridiculous. Because just Bill Hader making a joke at a clown demon who thinks it's genuinely funny, and they're outside of like a the what do you call the food people at
the craft services?
Craft services, yeah.
That's funny, dude.
It's always got to have some weird name.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I always interpret like literally I was like craft services. I always thought it was like craft, like the food company.
Is it?
No, it's not. It's craft, like the people that do
craft
all the
with
work.
a C. Okay.
Yeah, it's like it was kind of cool. Like when Ramon was playing with Bad Rabbits and they played with 311, I went to see them in your neck of the woods. And so I was there the entire day, like experiencing as if I was working the show or whatever. And it's so cool. Like at those bigger shows, what they have, just these huge spreads. Everyone just comes, eats, they replace everything constantly. There's just a shit ton of like things to eat and nanchan and drink.
Yeah, that's so
for
cool.
Like the people that are putting the show together and the performers and stuff too.
Yeah.
So I had like 3 or 4 cheeseburgers, I think, that day.
Oh, that's so
why
cool.
not?
Indulge, my
It was
friend.
free. I don't think anyone had any idea why I was there, and I really didn't either.
You made it count.
The funniest thing is that I went to that venue. It was in Philadelphia.
Yeah, what venue was that? Where did
it was an amphitheater, like on the water. I don't remember what the name of it was.
Yeah.
And it was nice. And I just walked to the back gate and Ramon I was like, hey, I'm here. And he just walked in and there was like a guard back there. And he's like, oh, he's with me. And they're like, okay. And then I just got into the show, and that was literally all that happened. I didn't have a pass or anything. I don't know. Like, I'm like, this isn't very secure, I guess, but it was fine. It was cool. Cool experience.
Yeah, that's fun.
And then Bad Rabbits, one of their roadies got mad at me for helping because I was trying to be helpful, and they're like, just leave everything. Because like they have like their own like system, obviously, because you have to like check things in and check things out and all that. And they were like getting annoyed.
They didn't need your stinking help.
Yeah, because I felt bad. Like I'm just sitting here, like I'm watching you just do everything. I am a musician. I can do something for you. I can plug something in or something. But they're like, we really don't do that. Yeah. So
it's not a union thing where they're just like, you can't.
Oh no, not for a band that size. No.
All right. That's interesting. That's really interesting.
They're not like Teamsters or something.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm thinking. Totally thinking along the lines of Teamsters or whatever. Kyle, I want to go back to your soccer thing, your like intramural recreational soccer thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember dudes like aging skateboarders, probably mid-20s to late 20s, hitting early 30s. Like everybody started doing that in Philly again. And they were, in all fairness, they probably were, a lot of them were probably like high school soccer players and stuff and wanted to, retaste their glory years, whatever. But I do remember in that specific league, there were tryouts. Like there was a vetting process. So you couldn't just make the team unless you had some sort of skills, right? Still, though you're aging and all of that. But I think it's funny if you don't do that. You just, it's like a bowling league. You just make the team.
Yeah. It was not, I think what it was, as I recall, is like you would put your own team together and then join as a team.
Okay. So it is like bowling then.
Right.
Very
and there would be
like
12 or 14 teams or whatever. And they would make their own teams, and each team would be like a different size. So there would be a lot of players on some teams. Some teams would literally just be 6 or 7 people or whatever. Or not that, I guess it would be a little bit more for soccer, but I'm thinking more hockey. Yeah. So that's kind of the way it was. And so, yeah, you get all types of people.
Yeah.
What would be cooler is to not even have like a draft of sorts, but just get the groups together and then just randomly assign all the players to teams. Would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I could see that being actually an interesting way to do it. Now, like getting the field wiped, were the Ecuadorians kicking the shit out of you? Let's just say that, right?
Yeah.
Were they enjoying it, or was it just like boring for them?
I think it was probably boring. I think that it was fairly obvious that we had no idea what we were really doing. So if I played a hockey team like that when I was younger, that would have, and I was that team. For a lot of other teams.
Yeah.
The team was like, I don't want to fucking play these guys. This is boring. That would kind of annoy me because it's like your one time to kind of play for that week, or you only play twice a week. And so you have to draw the shitty team. It's probably not very fun.
Yeah, I would.
Well, we never. I mean, we definitely never won a game I played in. I mean, not even close.
Not even close. I give you credit for trying, though.
It was fun. I mean, it was fun. Yeah. It was just cool to hang out. And I was an intern at the time. I would like have done anything to fit in. You know. So.
Oh yeah, so you were really young. That's cool. That's cool.
And no one wanted to play goalie on a team like that. You know, so I was like, I'll do it.
Slight size difference between the hockey goal and the soccer goal, right?
Just and a totally different way of playing. You know, like it's yeah. But like hockey goalies, you really want to tighten up. You tightening up your holes. Oh, you know, like there are only certain places to score, and so you're trying to cut angles off, but keep your body solid so that there's no way the ball. You know, that's where the term 5-hole comes from, which is like scoring between a goalie's legs. That's the one place you can score, and you try to get the goalie to spread themselves out to make those holes. So you can.
Right. I see. Right.
So yeah, in soccer, it's totally different. A lot of it is predictive, depending on like you ever see like a penalty shot and they just dive in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Of the ball, because you have to kind of guess.
Yeah, that makes sense because the ball's traveling so fast. There's so much area to cover. You just got to make your best guess. Wow, that's fascinating shit. So it's instinctual at that point. Yeah,
like the player. You study it, and there are amazing soccer goalies that are like crazy.
Yeah, soccer's a cool sport.
Yeah, it is. All sports are
and
cool.
You know what the other thing is? Like, it's huge in the United States, and I'm sure in Canada and Mexico too, all of North America, as, you know, for playing as kids from ages 4, 5 and up, you know, through high school. It's a huge sport, and it's been that way for many I mean, since I was a baby. But there's just that professional soccer thing didn't come along until later, much later. And that's fascinating, you know?
I think that around the world, they take it a lot more seriously. Like for me, I always interpreted soccer as like, this is the game we don't really care about. And we just put our young kids into it and they run around like maniacs until they learn a better sport. You know?
Yeah, like, there's a lot to choose from as far as sports. Yeah.
The one thing I've always been fascinated by is we actually dominate women's soccer. Like the United States has by far the best women's soccer team in the world, bar none.
That's a great point.
And that's really weird. Like I find that weird. Like, so we take that very seriously, but that's because the rest of the world doesn't really take it seriously because they're so into men's soccer. So it does have this unintended consequence that's great for women's soccer. But yeah, I would, as I understand it, it is wildly unrealistic to expect our team to do well in a World Cup tournament. But I'm still hoping, because I think it would be so fun, like how much the world would seethe over that if we won the World Cup would be in any year, just because we have no business winning it. I think we got pretty far a couple times. I think we got they start knocking teams out and it's kind of like you're surviving deeper and deeper into the tournament. And I think we got to like the last 8 teams once, which is good, I guess.
Yeah, that's respectable.
Because I think you start with 64 or something. So something like that.
Wow, that's a lot. Holy shit.
Something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I like the point that the rest of the world is sexist. Maybe it's 32. There you
go. Yeah. I don't know if I just think it's like they are really, it's actually somewhat similar. Like women's sports just do better in like the United States and Canada to a degree. Like women's hockey is really good too. And we even have a professional women's hockey league in the United States. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There's like 6 teams, maybe something like that.
So they must be playing at the college level then, which is also, I didn't know that was the thing.
Oh yeah. Northeastern's women's hockey team was great.
I don't think I even realized that.
I played with a person, her name was Becky so hockey is like, you start at like an instructional and like as a little kid, and then you get to mites, which are like elementary school kids. And then you get to squirts,
mites,
which are like 5th grade, 6th grade. And then you get to peewees, which is 7th and 8th grade. And then you start playing like bantams in high school and all that. When I was a squirt and a peewee, I played with this girl, Becky, who was fucking awesome. She was an awesome, but by the time you become a peewee, you kind of start splitting off the girls because that's when you start hitting.
Oh,
and
okay.
Girls get wiped out. Like by the time you play high school hockey, like there's no girls playing with you anymore because it wouldn't be fair. But she was excellent. And then I hadn't seen her in years. And then I ran into her on the campus of Northeastern and we started talking and I'm like, you play here? And she's like, yeah, I play for the Northeastern like women's hockey team. I'm like, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
You were fucking sick. So yeah, women's hockey is good. Actually, it's really fun. It's not very physical. It's very finesse based.
Kyle, what else is going on with you? Just quick hellos. What's going on in your world this week?
Oh yeah, very quick. Yeah, nothing's happening. Micah and I are going. I'm not going to be on the next Constellation because Micah and I are going away a week from today.
Oh.
I say we're going away. We have to go to Massachusetts for her grandmother's funeral.
Oh, that's happening. Okay.
Oh, you know what? I gotta get my suit in a minute and show you. I got the suit with the skull lining.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You got the new custom suit.
Yeah. I went and tried it on and everything worked out. I was a little upset because I go to this place. It's I've gotten 2 suits there, 707 Clothing in Richmond, really nice people. And they had a guy that helped us both times, this guy named Justin. He was a really friendly dude, obviously very well dressed and all of that. And so he helped us. He put everything together. I kind of deferred to him about a lot of things. I don't know. You know, they're like, he would basically tell you like, this is what I think would look good. This is like, and he give you options. And it's like, I'm deferring to you because what the fuck do I know, dude? I'm not going to put together. I will look like a Willy Wonka suit probably if I put my own shit together. And then, so he put the second suit for us together, but then we got a message from him like a couple weeks ago being like, I'm no longer working there anymore. Oh. And then we got a voicemail from the people saying like, oh, he's no longer working there. You're going to be working with this person now and all the rest. And I was kind of not upset at anyone in particular. I was just kind of upset about it. I'm like, what happened here? Because I really liked this guy. But then I was pleased to find out when I went to pick up the suit that there was no acrimony, that it was kind of like a mutual, like I'm just moving on and want to do other things with my life or whatever kind of thing. And I was like, oh, I'm very relieved, because I didn't like that. Because a lot of the experience I really enjoyed was through that person. It made it very easy. And I appreciated that because I'm very ignorant with these things, so.
And if that's the best place around, right? Then anywhere else he went adjacent would have been a step down. So that's upsetting.
I think he just like wants to do something else, or I don't know. But that place is great. I really, really like them. So yeah, I was very worried that I wasn't going to fit in my suit. I have crazy body dysmorphia. Like it's not even funny. And so I went in, and it was only like a month and a half since I got measured or whatever. So it's like, it's kind of unreasonable, and I fit. So I was like, oh God, thank God. Thank God.
You made it.
Yeah. Thank God.
Did you really think you wouldn't?
No, I don't know, man. I'm just crazy. I don't know why Allie always kind of busts balls, not even bust balls, but I think shows some concern, our sister, where she's like, you have like total body dysmorphia, like the way you look at yourself.
Oh, you really think that? Yeah. You're like you like my 18-year-old daughter. She's like, those are the things that she gets upset about. Am I going to fit into my prom dress? I don't want to get it too early.
Right.
It's like, Lil, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? Like that's not even going to be an issue. You might gain 2 ounces between now and then.
Well, she's like as thin as air, basically. So
yeah. She's a slim one. You know what happened? This is very similar to your situation, Kyle. Actually, I got a Dear John letter from my landscaper. Just a complete, like the lawn's getting longer and longer. Right. And we're in the season now. I would argue 3 weeks deep into landscaping season. Like, should start at the beginning of April, late March. Right. Like, where the hell is this guy? Does he not realize he's still my landscaper? We're like in our 8th year or something.
Right.
Finally, after texting him 3 times, I get a text back, and I'm trying not to be pushy. I'm just trying to remind him, like, come and do the lawn, dude. Like, it looks ungainly. He sends me a letter that basically saying it's not us, it's not him. It's not us, it's him. And he's changing careers. And, we're 2.5, 3 weeks into the mowing season now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
you got to find someone now.
I'm left without a seat in this musical chairs. And he did it it wasn't just me, thank God, because I was like, is he breaking up with me, my bad client? But I had a neighbor and also my in-laws, Helene's parents. He did the same thing too. But I feel like he wasn't just not going to let me know.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Unless I pushed, and I had to go in. Helene has a landscaper that actually also mows. So we got in and it worked out. But yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, totally changed career. Very vague. I got a new career opportunity. I'm going in a whole different direction. Didn't tell me what it was. Right. You were a lovely client. Thank you. It was great serving you. If you ever need anything, I'm like, what am I going to need? I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. What are you doing?
What are you doing now?
I need you to mow my lawn. Yep. So
similar thing.
God forbid you get out there and mow your own lawn, huh?
No, I'm not doing it. You know what the thing is? It takes so long. Our landscaper came yesterday. Okay. Like this guy, Angel, shout out to Angel. He's awesome. He came with a crew of like 5 guys. They were there. It's not a huge property. It's like almost a half an acre, probably all told, right? 15 minutes. Tops. They finished the whole thing. My neighbor started his lawn on his little, John Deere tractor, probably 40 minutes before they came. And he was out there for another 40 minutes after they left. That's why you don't do your own lawn. You leave it to the perfect. They got the huge gear, the huge industrial gear.
Yeah, it's like a strike team, basically. I see them doing it in my, because I mow my own lawn, but I see them in my neighborhood where they're like crazy.
They're scary.
Yeah, they're crazy. I mean, they want to go home.
It's like special ops.
It's volume.
Right. Yeah. They must make a nice amount of money.
They have to.
Yeah.
But they got to act quick. You don't want to be like a little kid playing around, with those huge, because they don't mess around with the speed. They're going a little too fast for my taste, getting a little too close to the cars, but they're surgical. They're professionals. I don't watch because it makes me nervous.
Do landscapers
I'm afraid they're going to hit something.
Do landscapers have like turf? Like, do they get like defensive? Is it like a like mafiosos?
I wonder that
like,
too.
That's my yard. It's like
they must.
Yeah, right.
There's like definitely rival companies in like the lawn care sector where they put their little stake in the front where it's like this was done by Virginia, like lawn, Virginia Green. And my whole thing with my guy is like he doesn't do that. His whole thing is like word of mouth. Because he's like, my product is so much better.
That's so elegant. I
love guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, that like, and I did it. Like, so then the person across the street from me went with him, and then like someone down the street went with them. So it did work. Like, just having it better.
That's
it's
refreshing.
Crazy. It's great. I've done 4 mows already. 4 mows this year. So
But now, how do the other companies now? They gather. And like a cigar smoke filled room, and they're like, this guy's stepping all over. Like, who's the John Gotti and Sammy the Bull of
right?
They got
the lawn care scene.
Wasn't that was in Sopranos? Remember Feach LaManna? That was the exact thing. Like his nephew had this part of the neighborhood, and then he kneecaps the guy with the shovel.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
That's the whole. That must. You know what I wonder about with that, Chris? How do they negotiate rates to stay within the parameters of what people are generally paying without getting too ballsy with like upcharging and stuff? So if somebody told me their rate, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I'm not paying 70. I pay 40 a week. How do they, because they all come in around the same number. So there's got to be some sort of dialogue with not pricing yourself out of the market. It's pretty fascinating if you think about it. It used to be the same way with sanitation companies until the big corporations took over. There were like little mom and pop sanitation that handled a few towns or whatever. Now it's like the huge corporations.
Yeah, like waste management.
Yeah, waste management and whoever the other ones are. So that's kind of fascinating, And our landscaper came in. The new landscaper came in like $2 under what I was paying. So he was right within that.
That's great.
Right? So they know. Not to ask too much because they don't want to hear no, right? Yeah, I don't know how fascinating it is to people, but I bet there's probably 50 landscapers listening to this right now. It's fascinating to them, right?
Well, so
that's another thing. Do you guys use people for you? I know, Colin, you've dabbled in this in the past.
Yeah,
using like handymen.
Oh yeah, I've had a handyman,
plumbers, electricians, all that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Sacred Symbols fans.
Yeah. The first time I ever hired a handyman off the internet, like just a handyman, was when I bought my elliptical in San Francisco, and Greg and I dropped it through the wall in the hallway. Like we leaned it on a wall, like the box, thinking we could and it just fell through the wall. And so we had to get like a bunch of, well, not we, it was my fault. So I went on like, I don't remember what I did. I found some guy on Craigslist or something at the time. It was like probably 2011 or something, 2012.
Yeah.
But then I was like, yeah, there are people that just know how to do this shit. And then TaskRabbit came around, and that was like a game changer because then you can really just kind of hone in on what you need and what you want.
I don't even think I've ever even heard of TaskRabbit.
Yeah, it's like you go on TaskRabbit and say like, I need someone to hang my TV. I need someone to clean my carpets. I need a ride somewhere, or I need someone to go shop for this or whatever. It's pretty cool. I learned about it when I was that kind of funny because we would hire them sometimes to do postage. Like you could hire people to just be like, I need someone to put postage on like 1,000 envelopes.
Oh, wow.
And people just are there to do things.
Do they bid on? Do people have to bid on the job?
No, I don't know how. I think it's just like you go find people where they're like a generalist, be like, I'll go do whatever the fuck you need for $40 an hour or something.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is neat.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's still the standard too, like that specific company, or if there's like a bunch of companies like that in the market. You know, because things get saturated, people want to compete.
Well, dude, there's specifically, because a lot of people Uber to the airport and Uber back over here, especially.
Yeah. And
I remember I found like a business card. So I can't remember how I came across it, but it's just like, it's one company and it's just it's just this couple. And their entire thing is, we'll drive you to and from the airport for like half the price of Uber.
Oh, shit.
And it's still like a good, there's so many people doing it that it's like,
so smart.
I guess it works, but it's so funny that that's the entire model. It's just like, Uber's expensive, just use us if you need to do this very hyper specific thing. And I think it was like word of mouth or something that I heard it through like a friend of a friend or something, and they're doing pretty well.
Smart.
Yeah, especially if you're just like two people. Like your overhead is so low at that point, right? Like it's not like you have to like sustain like a growing population of like workers. So it's actually like I don't know, it's a pretty smart thing. Like hone in on like a really niche, very hyper specific problem that you are offering the solution for, and then like you probably make out pretty well.
I love that. That's so simple and so smart. And they probably can't shake customers away with a stick. Like they're probably so sought after.
Yeah, right? I use them. I use them every time.
That's so cool.
Every time I go.
What's the company called?
Actually, I just know their names at this point, but like I have to look. I have to look back at what they're because I just call them now. Like I don't use any like interface.
Almost like it's almost like a taxi service then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love all the little micro ideas that came out. Like I even thought the idea of like it's not really. I think they still happen, but the idea of like the airporter. Like the van that comes and picks you up, like you tell the company.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
They'll ask you like what your flight is and stuff. And then they'll put in their system and then they'll figure out like some grouping of people and come pick up like 5 of you in sequence and bring you to the airport, even though you're on 5 different flights. I used to do that in California a lot, like pre-Uber. It's just inconvenient because it's usually you should have like a ton of time to kill and shit. And it's really only good on the way there. On the way from the airport, it kind of sucks. So.
Yeah. I think that's what they used to call gypsy cabs, right? It's like a limo van,
right?
Basically, right? Just strictly airport service to and fro. Yeah, that's interesting. God, you can make. It's true though. Chris makes a good point. You can make a cottage industry out of anything just by undercutting the big companies.
Definitely
keeping it small. In that case, at half the cost. I almost feel like those people could be like celebrities now, especially if it's just the two of them showing up to your house to drive you. It's like one.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I haven't flown anywhere in a while, so like they might have changed it up a bit. It's been a minute since I've used them, but I do use them every time I fly.
That's really neat. Yeah, I like hearing about stuff like that. Now, how do you guys want to handle today? Because I don't know how much we should say, but we had a third, or I should say a fourth, that couldn't.
Yeah, Maddie had to go to a doctor's appointment and got held up, so I didn't want to. He said he could have joined us like a half an hour late, and I'm like, I just don't want to hold everyone up. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah. See him on the next one.
Yeah. So no, we went for a long time here. We can just do the 2 topics.
All right, we got 2 topics.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, let's launch into it. Chris, I love your topic. Let's start with yours, dude.
Yeah. So I was thinking late. Like I'm always last minute with these things because I never know what the hell to talk about on Constellation until like the very, very night before. And something popped into my head where like I was thinking about these little hills to die on, where I guess it's something you feel very strongly about that matters to nobody but you, but you will not back down. And these little like passion, these mini micro passions, I guess. And for me, I don't know if I have necessarily too many of them, and I'm curious if you have any, if anybody even resonates with this. But like, for me, the one thing that I insist upon, and I will not like, there's really nothing you could show me to convince me otherwise, is that chocolate is not candy. Like these are separate things, and they're so obviously separate things that it boggles my mind that anybody would consider them identical. And that is. I've died on that hill so many times. over the course of my life, in podcasts, in like normal conversation, at like Thanksgiving, debates. I don't know, man. I just feel if I'm at a movie theater and I don't want to go to the concession or whatever, and a friend of mine is offering like, hey, I'm gonna go to the concession. What do you want? And I say, get me some candy. And they come back with like Milk Duds or something. I think you understand inherently that that's not what I was asking for. If I'm asking for candy, I'm asking for like Skittles, like like Nerds, like the fruity damn near sour like confectionery, right? That exists as candy, to the point where if you Google candy, that's the imagery that you'll be met with. Now, the frustrating thing about this is the candy bar, which I think the entire candy industry has fucked themselves up with that, because candy bars are not candy either. They are fucking chocolate bars, obviously. Airheads are candy bars.
Yes, that's a good point.
Laffy Taffy is a candy bar. A Hershey bar that's a chocolate bar. And to the point where like I've had people argue with me like so much. And I look at like even look at M&Ms, right? If you take M&Ms, do you know what it says on M&Ms? You know what it labels itself as? It says chocolate with a candy shell.
Yes, that's right.
Oh.
So the shell is candy because it's specifically not chocolate.
Okay.
There's a distinction here, right? Am I crazy?
I think you're right
for thinking this?
I think you're absolutely right.
Okay, good. Thank God. I'm sick of
But you know what, Chris? You know what I just
heard?
heard? This is so funny because I never knew this before 3 days ago, and I heard it completely randomly. Apparently, with companies like Nestle and Hershey and stuff, if there's not a high enough actual chocolate, whatever, count in that chocolate, quote unquote, chocolate product, they can't call it chocolate. They have to call it chocolate candy.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
it's fake chocolate.
It's fake chocolate.
Synthetic chocolate, whatever.
Right, exactly. But
so that's a technical, like a sticking point. I guess it's some kind of federal law, in fact.
Yeah, I think so. Right? I think so. It's a similar thing is why Yoo-hoo has to call itself chocolate drink.
Yes, same thing.
Which is
they can't say chocolate milk.
Most unappealing fucking thing you could possibly call something.
Yeah, it's gross.
Chocolate flavored drink or something.
I remember when I was like a kid, I tried, because I was insane, I guess. I tried, like, I wonder what chocolate water tastes like. And I took Hershey's syrup and I mixed it with water, and it was like the most sad.
Oh my God.
It was like, it really was the saddest thing that I think I've ever experienced. Because it just ends up.
Who I know loves that? I could just tell. Micah.
Oh, yeah.
She's going to love that.
I feel like that would even be a bridge too far for her. Like, I can't imagine. It's in that I agree with you that that's in the realm of something that she would say, but I actually feel like chocolate water is 100%. So egregious that I don't think there's a single soul on this planet.
That's so gross.
That would agree with that. But yeah, like I don't know. Surprisingly, it's a very controversial stand. I bet people in the comments in this episode are going to be like, "What is Chris talking about? Chocolate is absolutely candy," and they'll find all sorts of like weird semantic loopholes, like, "Oh, why are they in the candy section?" Even though they're actually separated very distinctly. Like the Hershey's are with the Reese's are with the fucking, Nestle's. And then there's like a dividing line when it gets to like, Airheads and all those other things.
I'm with you on this. I'm with you.
Yeah. I've always been, look, man, I'm with me as well. And I'm baffled. I'm truly baffled that anybody could argue against it, but people have unsuccessfully, I will say, but yeah, that is something you will never convince me that chocolate is candy. They're two entirely different vibes. One of the main arguments that I would use, and I actually think this has some overlap with the sandwich argument that we got into one of the Sacred Symbols lives, where it's just like candy is not something generally, like if you would put it, I'll put it this way, if you could put it in milk or on breakfast, it's inherently not candy. Like if you could put like chocolate chip pancakes, chocolate chip waffles, chocolate milk, like you're not putting fucking jujubes in your goddamn waffles. You know what I mean? That's egregious. Right. Outside, unless you're intentionally trying to go like I've seen the froyo places where like,
yes.
Oh, put fucking sour straws in your ice cream. And it's like, that's just for the purpose of just going insane. But like colloquially on a general level, you would never be like, you know what this pancake needs? Nerd's rope. You know what this milk needs? Laffy Taffy syrup or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not there. It's a completely separate entity. It's a completely separate catalog. It's a completely separate phylum and genus and everything to me. So that's my little hill that I die on all the time. But I'm curious if you guys have anything like that. These like small, these little hills. I'll pass it over to Colin first, for no reason other than it's just what I happen to have said.
Okay. When I read your email, I wrote down. I had to just talk about this. I don't know if I think it quite because you said little hills to die on. So I was like, Mike and I have been going on these long walks as I've been talking about, and I've just been noticing. And I don't know how little of a hill this is to die on, but Michael like kind of just rolls her eyes at me. It's like, I wish people took more pride in like the appearance of their yards, I guess. And I'm confused about the things like this little hill that I'll die on is I'm confused why things don't bother people. And I've been observing them. So I have a perfect example for you, right?
Great.
First of all, most of the people in my neighborhood knows what time it is. I think yard care and some like having your yard look good and stuff, it's a little bit of a competition in my opinion. And you want to be like amongst, in my opinion, you want to be like, people look at that and be, oh, that looks good. Like and most of the people in my neighborhood totally get this. And everyone in my neighborhood is really nice. It's not a personal thing or anything like that. But, and I don't even know very many people in like, cause we walk so far that I guess I can't even really tell you who some of these people are that I have a problem with because I've never seen them. I just see their houses. But here's the perfect example of what I'm talking about. 2 years ago, probably at this point, maybe more. So our mailboxes are all set up like it's like a HOA thing where they all look the same, like and then underneath there's the mailbox, and then there's like a little receptacle where people can put like pamphlets and newspapers and shit, like things that are not mail that you're paying for, I guess. And so someone had a clever idea, which I think is actually a really good idea. It was for plumbing or something, where it was a magnet. And they put a magnet on everyone's mailbox. Now, I'm telling you, this happened in no earlier than 2020, later than 2023. And the first day it happened, I was like, okay, I took the magnet, threw it in the garbage because I didn't need it anymore. Appreciate your effort. And slowly, most people took them down like 1 or 2 days later. But dude, we are going on now.
No way. No way.
There are at least 10 people in my neighborhood that still have the magnet on their mailbox.
How is that possible?
I'm telling you right now. It's just plopped on. These are black mailboxes, your normal mailbox, your metal mailbox, just plopped on the side of it. A white and blue magnet that looks like a business card. And there are dead ass people in this neighborhood that still have those magnets on their mailboxes. And I walk by them with Mike. I'm like, dude, I'm taking this fucking magnet.
You have every right.
And she's like, no, don't.
You have every right.
And I'm like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, how, why don't you care that this magnet is just sitting on your mailbox? It's wild that you're just letting this thing sit there.
They have to be trolling. They have to be that long.
Dude,
a week. Dude, I'll give them a week.
Exactly. Like even there were stragglers where over time they would disappear. Like maybe it took a month or 2, like crazy amount of time. Because literally the day of for me, I'm like, nope. Not having this on my mailbox. But Micah gets like rolls her eyes at me. Micah and I are fun. Like we just have a little Abbott and Costello thing going on all the time. But I'm always like, so I've just been pointing out all the things in my neighborhood where I'm like, why don't people give a fuck about these things? So here's some more of them. Okay.
It's egregious.
Trees, right? That little saplings, they grow and you tie stakes to them, right? There are people in my neighborhood that have trees that are 8-9 years old at this point with the stakes still tied around them, like just sitting there limp or even lifted in the air because they've been growing up.
No.
Yes. Now I don't live in the most ostentatious neighborhood. In fact, Dagan lives in a nicer neighborhood than I do. But the houses in my neighborhood are no less than $500,000 each, right? This isn't some sort of, like, it's just weird that you would spend a lot of money on a house and then let a tree grow in your front yard for 9 years with the wooden stakes just dangling from them. Sometimes they're just stuck in the ground, not even attached to anything anymore. And it's like, why don't you take it and throw it away? Okay, so that's another thing I've been noticing everywhere. Like I noticed that, okay? This deteriorating wood pillars.
Oh, I'm so with you on this.
For saplings that are like full-grown maple trees now.
I need to see pictures.
Dude,
of that.
I will. I'm going to go for a walk today. I'll take pictures of everything I'm talking about.
That's hilarious to me.
I should do that. We'll put them in. We'll put them in.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Oh yeah, I would love to see that. That's funny.
Dead plants. Just like I've been walking by a house on my trip. So we've had really bad wind here like this year for some reason. It's always windy. We call it the Mosley wind because it's just always a little windy. I don't know what it is about this place. It's never just like calm ever. Always. So like when I'm in the pool or something, I'm like, God, just stop. You know, like it's so beautiful out right now. Just like it's but we've been getting bad wind. And so I've been walking by this one house where they had like a tree that was probably only a few years old and it just fell over. And like, you know, the big clump of like roots and stuff, it's just it's been there for probably 2 months. The tree is literally dead. Like all the foliage that was growing was dead. It was like a pine tree of some sort. It's just sitting there. Why don't you care that there is a dead tree just laying on your lawn?
Could be a fire hazard as well, possibly. Oh, that's hilarious.
Dude, there are so many. I just keep pointing out that I keep making Michael laugh. I'm like, I'm going to bring a pair of like clippers, like little, trimmers, because there's like a tree growing, like this little ornamental tree, but like the top half of it is just totally dead. And it's been dead for like in someone's yard for like a few years, but like the bottom is still growing. And I'm like, I'm just going to cut it. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the little snipper. I'm going to do it. And she's like, you can't do that. Yeah. And I'm telling you, like one day I'm walking by this thing one day and I'm not even going to say I have them and I'm just going to pull them out of my fucking pocket and I'm just going to go and I'm going to snip that tree because someone's got to do it.
People just don't care. It's pure apathy.
And I'm saying this is 5% of the people, right? Everyone else is on the up and up. They saw the magnet on the mailbox.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
Right. This mailbox or this neighborhood. I know that you live in like a recently built neighborhood.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it's new. Yeah.
So are those houses also new? Like those people who lived in those houses?
Yeah, well, most of the houses. My house is actually fairly old for this neighborhood compared to everything was being built around me because I had the builder's house, so they did it first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess from my perspective, I would look at it like I could see it like because you're relatively new, to the house thing.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And so I could see people after 40 years. It's like, oh, the tree's dead. Again? Just fucking leave it. I don't care anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could see getting jaded at a certain point.
Burnt out.
But if they're all like relatively new and recently moved in, that's a little bizarre.
Yeah, it's like... There's another example that pissed me off that Mike was like, you got to stop talking about this because like I can't take it anymore. These people lived in this house. They planted like a bunch of evergreen trees on the side of the house, and then they moved out like as like cover. It was going to be great. Like you had to give it a couple more years. It was going to be awesome. And then these people moved in, and then they just let them die. And then they just sat there. They were all dead. I'm like, water the trees. Like you got to water the tree. It was the summertime. Like you got to water the trees. And then they all just died. And I watched them slowly just wither over the months and die when they could have been saved like any number of times. And then when they were dead, they just sat there for a while until like someone came and pulled them out, I guess, or whatever. And
that's a shame.
To me, I'm like, my house isn't the nicest place in the world or whatever. I just feel like what I wrote in my thing is just take a little bit of public pride.
Yeah.
Take the magnet.
Reasonable.
Take the magnet off your mailbox.
So the magnet thing is hilarious.
I gotta get. It drives me. It's so. Yeah, that's the little hill I'll die on. Is that today? Is that people don't take enough public pride, and it's like these little things that don't seem to matter, but for some reason it's probably a little bit autistic, but I'm totally fixated on these little things that would drive me insane. If they were there for one day, I would be like, dude, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
I'm totally feeling this, Kyle. I'm taking a page out of your book. Do you guys know when a landscaper comes around? I don't know if this is a thing in your neighborhoods. They throw a little. This is one thing that's supposed to be like a novel thing, but this has been going on for a decade. they'll send like a little Ziploc bag with a business card, maybe a blown up business card inside, and then some rocks to weigh it down. Usually these are landscaping companies. And the conceit of the rocks is to keep it from blowing away, right? And they usually don't put it in your mailbox. They just put it around your mailbox, like in your little mailbox area.
Right.
On the front lawn. And it's an equivalent to the magnet on the mailbox, where I've had neighbors with multiple bags of rocks with Ziploc bags just floating around their front yards, like years worth.
Why don't you care?
It's like insane.
Why don't you care?
It's like, why? It's so easy. Just pick it up and throw it out.
During one of these windstorms, one of my neighbors, like, he has like a long pipe kind of off the gutter coming down to get the water away from the yard, like down the hill. But it came loose in a windstorm and just blew into the woods. And then it was there for like 6 months.
I have this. If it's OCD, I have the same thing.
Yeah, no, I think it must be that where I'm like, it's driving me mad. It's driving me mad because we're clean inside the house too. We're cluttered a lot. Like there's just things everywhere because we have all the fucking merch everywhere and stuff like that. But like we clean the house every week and we do our laundry and do normal stuff. But I feel like on the out, so it's not like the house we grew up in where it was like immaculate.
Yeah, right.
You know?
No,
not at all.
Mine either.
But it's like a normal clean, like what I grew up with my friends, like a normal family. But outside, I feel like you want to kind of put your best face forward with 100%. The permanent building. Like I dress like a skell, you know, when I go to Waffle House in my sweatpants and a t-shirt. I don't give a shit about that. I'm a temporary vagrant in that situation. But like this place is going to be there forever, you know, or for a long time. And it's like, so I want it to be like a place where you don't look at it and be like, what the fuck is wrong with these people? You know?
It's totally reasonable.
Because it's the thing that they'll no matter where you are, everyone's seeing it. So you got to put like your best foot forward. And that's the thing that I'm confused about. It just takes a little bit of effort. Like one of the 400 times you've gotten your mail in the last 2 years, just take the magnet off the mailbox. I really want to.
It is confusing.
I want to wait for one of these people to come out of their houses and just be like, can you tell me why you're not taking that magnet off the mailbox?
They like the way it looks. I don't know.
This magnet was put there in February 2022. Why is it still in the mailbox?
Yeah, it's been 3 years.
Are they all the same mailbox?
Yeah, all of our mailbox. Oh no, we all have the same mailbox because we have to. Right. But these are mailboxes strewn around. I would say a 3 or 4 mile walk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could see maybe like I could see maybe being like, hey, pull over to the house. It's the one with the magnet on the mailbox.
No.
Because a lot of those houses look the same. I don't know. I could see. I remember having like. I remember those situations. I can't remember exactly like specifics, but I remember being like these signifiers to distinguish, you know, copy pasted houses or copy pasted like town. There were so many communities up where I lived where they were just like townhouses, like connected to each other, and you would get an address and you'd be like, I don't know which one is. I don't know which one is the right one. Even here in my building, I have like a boxing gloves hanging off of my terrace. So people is like, it's the one with the boxing glove.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because the one thing that bothered it's so funny. I'm bringing you to like my complete neurosis, the things I bother my wife with. I get really mad at shitty street names because I feel like that's the best part of being a builder, probably, is naming the roads. For instance, we grew up on Marie Court. That was named after the builder's wife, right? So like there was a purpose to that name. But like the names, they're just like Yellow Flower Lane or whatever. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You wasted this whole road on Yellow Flower Lane. And then the other thing is, and I don't understand this at all, and Dagan probably noticed this because our Uncle Mike lives in my neighborhood too, is that the numbering is just weird, where I live on a road with 9 houses and we have 4-digit numbers. It's like 9712, 9713 or whatever. I'm like, what about 1, 2, 3, 4? Like, what is going on with all these conventions? Like, they don't even make any sense.
Yeah.
But the street name thing gets me fucking crazy when I look at when I drive around and I see the names that these people are giving these streets.
Well, what is it with that? Is it just that it's too long, the street name?
No, it's just like,
walk me through that.
Something cool. Remember, what is Yellow? And I'm just using that as an example, like Yellow Flower Road. It's like, what? Do something. What is that? If you drive, I don't even want to say it because people will be able to find, you know, where I live or whatever. But like, Dig, if you drive around my neighborhood when you're here next time, just look at the names. It's like, these are so generic.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I noticed that.
Boring.
Yeah. Boring street names are quite that. I don't know if it bothers me to that extent, but I do notice it. And I'm just like, I always think it's like, that's a wasted opportunity. This could have been something cool, or something at least like more interesting, than this. Although one of my favorite ones is one of my favorite street names out here is a terrible one because it's so terrible. And I can't believe it. When I first came across it, I was like, there's no way that this is real.
What is it?
And it's in Pasadena and it's Big Bang Theory Lane.
Oh no!
Because I think that show takes place in Pasadena. I think it's like the school. I think the school there because it's like a really big science place, I guess.
Oh,
wow. But there's a lane, and it's literally just called Big Bang Theory Lane, and I'm just or something like that. And I'm just like,
kind of like that.
What the fuck is that? But my favorite thing about it, is that you go down it, and it's essentially a glorified alleyway.
Oh,
so there's nothing there. There's like nothing. There's no life there. It's just completely barren, which is both thematically appropriate and very funny, in my opinion.
It's a non-tribute.
Yeah, it's like,
that's kind of cool.
It's almost like a backhanded compliment. It's like, all right, here's your alley.
Yeah, I always just, I don't know. I always thought about that as a builder growing up where I'm like, that would be the funnest part. Definitely. It's like naming things. But maybe you have so many roads after road. I have no idea what to even call this.
No, have fun with it. I agree with you.
Magnet
like
Man Road.
The thing that pisses me off is that when street names intersect with like the same street name, but it's like lane and avenue or whatever.
It's like that's not right.
Yeah, I hate that.
It's like that's not good. Go off on Marie Court, where that intersects with like Marie Lane, and then make a right on when you get off of Marie Lane, make a right on Marie Street, and you're just like,
that shouldn't be allowed.
I've run into that a couple times, and I'm like, this is just terrible planning.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, we have similar happenings going on around these parts. But yeah, those are more like pet peeves, I guess. But yeah, Little Hill, I just like that these things matter is the Little Hill to die on.
You're right.
I had to get it out of my system.
I like it. I get it too. Suburban homeownership, man. Like it's reasonable what you're saying because there are no rules. Like let's say you're not the outdoorsy type. You don't like gardening. You just leave your landscaping kind of bare bones. At a minimum, you don't want to be out there trimming the hedges and stuff like that. Or you could be super into it. You could do all types of things with your topography and bringing in stone and all kinds of badass landscaping. You have your choice, right? And then you maintain according to how much you want to do versus how little you want to do. So you kind of have your druthers, right? Where no one's expecting you to make it look like the award-winning gardens out there, right?
Yeah.
So you keep it lean, keep it mean, and just maintenance. And you don't like to be out. You like to be outside for 5 minutes. You like to be outside for 5 hours. Operate accordingly. So taking the magnet off your mailbox,
right?
It's a lot.
I am here crestfallen that the sooty mold has destroyed my crepe myrtle in my front yard. Okay. And these people won't take the goddamn magnet off the mailbox.
And you're not holding them to your standards to care about the crepe myrtle,
no.
Right?
Get rid of the fucking pole that's next to the sapling.
I think people don't see it. Like, all right, let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
Helene, one of Lilia's best friends. They're lovely people. They're some of my favorite people, this couple. And they do well. They have a beautiful house and they keep it nice. But they had, let me paint you a picture. Their front door, beautiful house. Right across the neighborhood across from ours. They had right at their front door, they have a little typical concrete apron that steps up before their front door. So in other words, the walkway, then the concrete, little apron that's like 6 inches high, then the front door. In between the seam where the apron meets the walkway, I guess it kind of deteriorated a little bit and a little weed started growing, right? A few inches in where the apron meets. So you're talking about 3 feet from the front door. Little weed started out really little, months and goes by. It turns out to be onion grass. I'm not even kidding you, dude. 4 months in, this onion grass was 2.5 feet high. I mean, you had to brush up against it at a certain point. And it just I pulled it out. I finally could not take it anymore. I had to pull it out.
You got to do it.
And they came right out.
Yeah, exactly.
The
that's the other thing that bothers you is when people walk around and spray weeds. I'm like, just pull the goddamn weed out of the ground. What are you, a farmer? Just pull the weed out of the ground. You don't need to spray it first.
You know what they do in Jersey?
I'm going to spray it and wait 6 weeks for it to die. It's like you could just take it out of the ground right now. Just pull it out. Pull it out. Just do it.
I don't think this is allowed in New York. I'm not sure about Virginia, and it's not allowed in Pennsylvania. But in Jersey, a lot of people down here where Helene Shore House is, they have the gravel driveways and the weeds grow through, and they just use blowtorches on it. It's fucking amazing. It's so cool.
That's cool.
It makes sense.
That's fun.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's almost incentive to let things go to shit for a little while, so you could take out the blowtorch.
Right.
I'm always telling my father-in-law, like, Dad, take out he's like, I don't have one of those. I'm like, we should really invest. It seems fun.
You can fuck around with one of those for sure. Yeah, it's just the little things. Pull out the weed. Pull out the weed. Mow the grass.
I don't think people see it. I don't think they see it. I don't think they care. Or is it just like is it a thing where we should take a page out of their book? Like, who cares what people think? Right?
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, like, it's not that big of a deal. Could be worse.
Could be worse.
Could be better, though. Could definitely be better. In my opinion.
Let me keep it in the neighborhood thing for you guys with mine.
Sure.
I may have mentioned this in passing, but this bothers the shit out of me, and it only makes it worse because it really, really bothers Helene too. So this is a common thing we have, and I never, you have to preface this by saying Colin and I didn't grow up with dogs, so I never owned a dog until I was an adult homeowner. Okay, There's a thing in I live in a very nice neighborhood, just colonials, very northeastern type vibe to my neighborhood. Nice houses. They were built in the 80s. They're not new. They're not anything super fancy. They're certainly not McMansions or anything like that. But it's a nice neighborhood. And I have nice neighbors, of varying ages. Some people are in their 30s. Some people are in their 70s. It's a nice mix of people. And some people have been there since the 80s. And some people have been there 2 years. And some people have been there like we have, like 13, 14 years. But every single dog owner in this neighborhood, to a person, walks their dog on other people's front lawns and lets them do their business on other people's front lawns. Now, let me go back by saying there are common areas in the neighborhood. We have walking trails and jogging trails with a pond. There's common ballpark areas. There's common grass areas, picnic areas where some people do walk their dogs and let them do their business. But for the most part, everybody that owns a dog, and it's also kind of a weird neighborhood because a lot of people don't have fenced in yards. Like fenced in yards just isn't the vibe in my neighborhood. I think because there are regular shaped lots, so it's hard to fence in the lots in the backyards in my neighborhood. But also, I think it's just not the aesthetic. It's a very old school colonial stone and brick house aesthetic in this neighborhood. So no one has very few people have like the vinyl, more modern fencing and stuff like that. But what Helene and I do, like most people, we don't have a fenced in backyard, but we just walk the dog on our own front yard, right? Kiki goes out, poopies and peepies on our front yard. I have neighbors that I could watch. Now, neighbors that aren't that live down the street, 7, 8 houses away, beeline for my front lawn. I watch them leave their door. They beeline for my front lawn. Their dog does their business on my lawn and then goes home again. Now, why couldn't you just walk your dog on your own lawn? I don't understand what's happening, right? And it's not just one person. It's everybody that doesn't live on my cul-de-sac. Because I guess you don't want to do it too close to your neighbor to piss your neighbor off. So you go a little bit further up, maybe a block away or half a block away, right? I don't understand. It makes my blood boil. I don't even know a reason for it. You know what I mean? Like somebody explain this to me.
Yeah.
Right?
That pisses me off too.
Doesn't make sense.
I see it too. Like our yards you have like a much bigger yard than I do. So you have like more territory that like people can walk by and like be around.
Sure.
So the thing that dogs in my neighborhood make a beeline towards are like the mailboxes. Mm-hmm. And that pisses me off because I just feel like as a dog owner, you have to be aware that where your dog pees is going to attract other dogs to pee there. And it makes it compounds the problem worse and worse, which is why it's really important to nip it in the bud. And there's like a bush that I let Rush pee on intentionally and other dogs pee on it. And I'm like, I don't care about that. It seems like the bush actually kind of likes it. Maybe it's a little bit of a freak. But it's growing beautifully in all the piss. So I'm like, yeah, just do it. Pee all over it. But it's funny, man. The mailbox, I actually wrote, people were just letting their dogs pee on our mailbox. And then I actually wrote on on a piece of cardboard facing inward, like towards the sidewalk, and taped it to the mailbox being like, please don't let your dogs pee here. It should go without saying. And then I left it there for a week. And then no one has ever peed on the mailbox ever again.
Oh, so now, that did the trick.
It did do the trick. Because I was like, I shouldn't have to. I was like, yeah, like, this should go without saying. Like, I shouldn't have to even ask you. It should go without saying
is a great thing to write on a sign.
Yeah, because I intentionally pull Russian treble away when they're trying to do that on other people's lawns or mailboxes, just because they pee on the, like, their first pee when they come out is most of their pee, and then they're obviously like squirting around or whatever. And so it's like not going to do anything to anyone's lawn at that point or whatever. It's just to not add to like the stink or whatever of what draws more dogs to it. It's why it's important to just not let it begin at all. That pisses me off too. In a city, you can't really do anything about it, but
that's different.
But in this environment, yeah, there's just places to just bring them, and we walk from place to place. But I don't let them pee on other people's yards and stuff. It's just rude. People are just rude. I mean, I don't know what else to really say about that. It's so
crazy. Like, people are so flagrant. It's so egregious in my neighborhood. I tell you, I have two neighbors that live across the street from me that are feuding with each other.
Oh.
And this has been going on for a couple of years. And it's actually kind of entertaining. I won't lie. Even though I like both of them, they definitely have beef. And it could be the typical neighbors living next to each other with adjacent lots, beef over, boundaries or trees or whatever. I don't know what started it. But I do know the younger of the two neighbors. Again, I like these people. But I watch them leave their front door, walk over to their neighbor that they're feuding with yard, let the dog do the business in their yard, and then walk back home again. And I don't know if that's what started the feud or if they're just doing it now because they're pissed at them. But it's like they walk 3 or 4 feet over the boundary to let the dog do it on their lawn. And it's just, I think what gets me the most fired up, I think if Helene was she's much more relaxed in general than I am about things and much less bothered about most things. But for some reason, this gets under her skin so bad and it gets me fired up. To the point where I had a neighbor once who was doing it, and she, Helene alerted me to it. Like, check out so-and-so up the street. He was an older guy, by the way. He was like one of the original homeowners who I think some of his grown kids now live with him. Turns out to be a very nice guy. But like the 4th or 5th time Helene pointed out, I ran out on my front lawn. I was like, I don't know what you're doing. Like, I don't know where you come from, but this is not what we do around here type of. Now, granted, this guy's been here since like 1988. I'm telling this guy what it's like in the neighborhood. I just moved in like 5 years ago, right? To the point I was so rude and so out of character for myself to this guy. He was a little taken aback because he wasn't expecting somebody to come at him like that, right? That he told my other neighbor in a conversation one day that, oh, so-and-so up there doesn't like me. And I actually went and saw him walking his dog or maybe bringing his grandkid to the bus stop or something and actually apologized to the guy over that. I was like, I really came at you a little hot and heavy. Like, I apologize for that type of thing. But that's the thing. And that's where I realized too, like, if something actually, the rare thing that bothers Helene, that's incentive enough to me to get
totally. Yeah. That sets me. That
she doesn't get pissed about anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
She just lets everything roll off her shoulders. But for some reason, that thing. And I think, what bothered me too? Helene grew up in the area. So I feel like she should know the code, right? Like, she grew up around here. That's not what we do around here, right? I don't know where this guy's from. He probably grew up in the area too.
There's a lot of just dirtbag behavior, dude. Like, it just is what it is. I've noticed it my whole life. I've never really quite understood it. And there's a difference between like not taking the magnet off your mailbox is one thing. Like letting your dog shit on someone's yard and then not picking it up, or just like encouraging them to do things there. It's like peeing on people's yards and doing, it's like, who do you think you are? Like, why would you do something like that? That just breaks I'm being dead serious. Like, that breaks a social contract, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. No, I think it does too. It's upsetting.
Yeah.
You know what every neighborhood needs? And we had 2 of these people, but they seem to have laid off a little bit. Every neighborhood needs 2 or 3 Karens to just kind of patrol.
Definitely.
About the, like the dog, leaving the dog shit, speeding through the neighborhood, going around the bus, which has been the thing in my neighborhood. Like there was a guy with a Range Rover that everybody was just referring to as Range Rover guy that was going around the school buses when they were unloading.
Oh yeah, like you're supposed
kids.
to stop and stuff. Yeah,
like real bad.
Yeah,
it turned out to be a doctor who was in like an adjacent neighborhood. He wasn't in our neighborhood. He was in like the McMansion neighborhood behind us. But there has to be those Karens who are kind of setting the bar in the neighborhood.
Definitely.
But I feel like as soon as those women and it's always women in my neighborhood anyway, as soon as their kids
Old
are
hens.
age, like they're all in college, they lay off.
Mm.
As soon as their kids are on the scene, that's it.
Yeah, that's
so now we
interesting.
need new Karens.
That's interesting.
And the younger women in their 30s, like the women that are younger than us in our neighborhood, are just too cool for that.
There is
people without kids don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Why would they?
There is a theory. I mean, you read about it sometimes, and I don't know how seriously people are taking it, but it would be interesting to know more about like what informed people, sociologists maybe and psychologists and stuff would say about this sort of thing. But there's this idea that like bullying is that sort of thing, that like having bullies is like a sort of like a self-policing thing for most people, where like it keeps conformity and certain rules and mores in check. Have you guys ever seen that argument before about that, about like bullying? It's interesting.
I don't think
Obviously
so.
You don't want people to like drive people to suicide or whatever, but like make that'll be interesting. You should Google around about it. I've seen there's like been, I don't know if it was on the Free Press or no, maybe it wasn't there. But yeah, the idea that it's just like we've become too nice as a society. Like we don't have the enforcers in society anymore that kept everyone in check in certain ways, kept you like clean, or kept you like, not fashionable, but taking care of yourself, cutting your hair, brushing your teeth, doing those kinds of things. And like,
right.
It's interesting. It's interesting to think about.
Well, I don't know. Like, I do think the word bully might be like, because there are people who make fun of people. And then there's bullies. Like, I think there's like a difference. There's like a difference there. I think.
Yeah.
Like when I think of a bully, like I actually don't think I've ever had like a real bully. I had one person in my life that I would have ever called a bully when I was a kid, and I kind of just like dealt with it for a year, and then I just punched him in the face. And then he never.
That ended it.
That's what they say.
He changed schools after that, which is wild.
Really?
Yeah. It was at the end of I remember this very distinctly. It was like the end of 7th grade, I think. And this dude was like, he was on my bus every day, and he would like sit behind me, and it was just like, he would like throw my head into like the cushion of like the seat of the school bus. Like it wasn't like violent. Like it wasn't like he was beating me up or anything, but it was like, it was physical harass. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was like,
definitely not something that should be happening.
And it was just like, oh my God, this is so fucking annoying. And then I was like, you know what, whatever. I don't know what this kid's got going on at home. I don't know. I was just trying to like let it have whatever. I just didn't want a problem. And then at the end of the year, I just like, it was like the last week I had done all my finals. It was just that last obligatory week of school where you just kind of go and, you close it, you do the crossfade out into the next year.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it happened again. And I was just like, if at this point, I was actually looking at it from like, if I get kicked out of school at this point, I've done everything I need to do. So I just will get the last week off where other people have to come in. So it was like, fine, sure. And so I turned around and I decked him in the face, and his face hit the fucking school bus window. And then I just calmly walked off, and he was like screaming and bleeding. And I got called into the principal's office. They didn't kick me out, unfortunately. I would have loved to have that last week off, but they were like, listen, because they knew they knew I wasn't that kind of kid. So they were like, listen, you can't do that. I know why. I remember this distinctly. Like the principal was like, I know why you did this. You can't do this. Don't do it again. And I was like, all right.
Slap on the wrist.
Fine. Yeah. Because I
knew he was a jerk.
Well, they knew he was a jerk, and they knew that I think he specifically was like, what the hell did this kid do to get this kid to do that to him?
Makes sense.
Because, dude, I was so like laissez-faire. Like I was like, I had no problems with anybody, and then the next year in 8th grade, he just wasn't there.
Yeah, he couldn't show his face around these parts no more.
It was pretty embarrassing too, because he was so much taller than me.
That's the way it goes. The bigger they are.
I think that's what it was. I think he was like just like really embarrassed.
It's funny. I never had what I would consider a specific bully, but rather was just transiently bullied by many people throughout my life.
Transiently bullied is a crazy phrase.
Like I remember instances of being bullied, but it was like I had never had like a person harassing me like continuously. It was like moments of bullying or small errors of bullying. Like when I moved to Maine with mom, I had this kid that like would bust my balls all the time, but it was only for like a summer camp or something. So it was like I never saw him again. I don't even know who he is.
Yeah, so it didn't matter. Yeah,
it's like matter. In some case, like he was definitely bullying me, but that wasn't my bully. Like you see the things you see in a teen movie or something. I never saw that or experienced that. I never even saw other people treat anyone like that. Actually, like
really
that level of.
You guys are just too young, I think.
Oh well,
ridicule.
You're probably right because like I bet like a long ass time ago they were like, haha, throw him over the wood chipper, haha.
Yeah,
there's like just no concept of mortality or the sheer danger that you would put other people in. Dangle him by his knees off the highway.
Yeah, like I never saw people were like there were unpopular people and people that were made fun of, and I wasn't a popular person at all. But I don't think I would consider myself like the lowest rung of popularity.
Yeah,
Should I have been wearing Darth Maul shirts in 9th grade? Probably not. Should I have been bullied for that? Yeah, probably a little bit. But I did. The one thing I feel bad about is that like there were some unpopular kids, and I never bullied anyone. I never had that in me. It was not really an instinct for me to want to like make fun of people. But you definitely didn't. I definitely didn't do anything about it. You know,
like stand up. Yeah,
I definitely didn't.
Upstanders.
Yeah, I didn't want to be. You look back at some of the things. I don't even really remember specific instances, but I remember more people where it's like, why didn't I like stand up more for this person instead of just sitting there and letting them get made fun of?
It's all about being put in a situation.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to put myself in a situation. And then you think about like the overwhelming, or not the overwhelming, but like the domino effect of like, okay, what happens if I get involved here? Is this going to increase into a police altercation? Am I going to have to now, talk to a cop about this thing happening? Am I going to be like asked like 3 months later to like testify of something? You know what I mean? Like I remember there was this one, the only time and to be fair, this never happened, but like the only time I stepped in anywhere was like at an Apple store, or that I remember like cognizantly was like, I think like 4 years ago I was in an Apple store and some older guy, like mid 50s was like, just like being unusually like hostile towards like one of the workers at this Apple store, and just it was very weird. And I remember like it was like the one time that it was so egregious that like I said something, and I wouldn't normally. I'd be like, this is what the fuck. I don't want anything to do with this. But I was like, dude, I can't remember what I said, but I was like, dude, they're trying to help you. Like, what are you doing? You're making it weird for everybody here. And that was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. It was like a whole 5-minute altercation. That was like, and then I just left. I was like,
what was their reaction to that when you said that?
I think it was like something like the nerve of like, or yeah, like you don't know what's going on. And it's like I very much do. Like I was here longer than you were. I saw you.
Yeah, you heard everything.
Yeah, like I literally. It's like we were right next to each other the entire time. Like there's no additional context that you could. In fact, I have more context because I was here before you. It was very dumb. But like it was a whole thing. It's like there's certain people, you reach a certain point where you realize that like if someone's in that situation in the first place, or they're doing that, they're probably not reachable in that moment anyway. You know, so there's really not a lot to do.
Yeah, they're in main character mode, and that's it.
That's the kind of shit. Yeah, I hate when people think they're the main character in like just the way they treat and talk to people around. Like, bring it home and talk to people like that if that's what you need to do.
I have to remind myself that a lot.
It's like, chill out.
I know.
No one wants to see this in person. I think that I've talked about, I have neighbors like down the street. I've never really interacted with them. They seem nice enough, but they're just so loud, and they're like, their business is everyone's business, and they're just always talking on the phone. They're always mad at someone or something like this. And I'm like,
yeah.
Inside, man. Like,
they're very loud.
I hate that. A little discretion is nice. That's what I'm saying. A little discretion.
Is it entertaining though? A little bit entertaining.
It's definitely entertaining, but it's. I would be hopefully too self-aware to put my business out there like that.
It's texture to the world. You know, it's environmental storytelling, Colin.
Yeah, it definitely is environmental storytelling.
I like that.
Yeah.
Dude, I will say though, like I remember, like I'm very much the same. Where like if I have an issue with anything, like I'm usually inside, you know. But I remember there was this one time when I first moved out here and I couldn't find an apartment and it was like really stressful and I couldn't, like nothing I was doing was working. Like, I remember I saw this townhouse and then I went home to like fill out the paperwork and then I went to bring it back and they were like, oh, we actually sold this 4 days ago. And I was like, why'd you show this? I was just all this shit. And so like I called my mom. And the apartment that I was staying in was like full. It was like 7 people staying there. It was like a 2-bedroom. It was like a night. So I just went outside and I was just like yelling. I was like at my mom. I was like with my mom. I was like, these people don't know fucking anything. Everybody out here is so unbelievably stupid. Nothing's working. Like they don't. Nobody's honors anything. I was being loud. There's definitely people who heard it, but the consequence of that is like the landlord for that place heard it, and they were like, hey, listen. I have a space down the block that's opening up in like 3 days.
Look at that.
And so like sometimes making your business everybody's business works out. You know what I mean?
The squeaky wheel, it worked.
It was so interesting because that was the only time I've ever done anything like that. I've never like been on the phone angrily like talking outside. Like never. Even to this day, still after that. Like I don't think I've ever been in that situation.
I love that.
And the one time I did it actually kind of resulted in like
that's so cool.
A pretty positive outcome. So I don't even know how like I'm a little biased in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah, because it benefited you. I get it. Yeah,
100% hit rate.
There were so many guys. I mean, you know what I think about? I started elementary school in the 70s. So I had bullies all through, like, I would say through different bullies, but through probably my sophomore year of high school, there were definitely kids that were problematic.
Would they hold up like butterfly knives at you?
No, nothing like, see, that's why I think the 50s must have been terrifying. I think the 50s to the 60s, and it just got a little less with every decade. Right.
Yeah.
Right. The 50s must have been fucking horrifying.
50s were unhinged. Everybody's like slowly dying of asbestos and lead. And they don't know why, and they don't know that it's happening, but they know something's wrong. And so everybody's like really hostile.
The bully holds the knife up to the dude, and the kid is like, "I'll give you everything in my pocket," and the guy is like, "That'll be fine."
Yeah.
50s I wouldn't have liked, but the 70s were probably bad. 60s were probably took a break because everybody was like peace and love and everything like that. And the 70s were probably bad. 80s were bad. I was there for the 80s. I had a bully who was like the prototypical bully, like the ebony black dark bowl haircut over his eyes, huge, like uncharacteristically big, like definitely wasn't even left back, just like a huge human being for what age he was supposed to be.
Right.
And yeah, and then, later on in life, like became my friend, but terrorized me in elementary school. I was horrified of this guy. Chase me, get off the bus. He would chase me. I would have to run to my friend's house because he lived closer than me. So I knew by the time I got to my house, another 3 houses up, he would have caught up. So I would literally run into my friend's house, who, thank God, had a nanny and his parent, because his parents both worked, and his nanny just saw I was coming over to play. So I could pass it off as like everything's fine. But it was the type of thing. Growing up in the 70s and 80s was an era where, and I could contrast this with having kids now, or since 2007. You didn't tell your parents everything. Like there were like whole chapters of my life that I would just hide from my parents because I didn't know how to tell them what was going on.
Right. Totally.
Right. You suffer in silence.
Definitely.
Dude, my parents still have no fucking clue what I'm
Through our shows, our parents probably have gotten a good idea of what was going on.
I think that's a good point.
But definitely not in the moment. And I wasn't a bad kid. I did some bad things in high school that I'm not proud of. I've talked about before, smashing mailboxes and doing stupid shit, fights and things that I think are fucking degenerate behavior. I just wanted to like fit in and belong so badly. Like,
oh my God,
I just know that about myself, but other than that, I wasn't really. So yeah, like I dinged a few mailboxes. I got beat up a couple times. But that's about it.
Yeah, typical, right?
Yeah. I'm glad that looking back, like I never really hurt anyone or did anything crazy, bullied someone or anything. But the one thing I regret is just not. And I guess, you don't have the wisdom at the time, and you don't want to be a target yourself, especially when you're kind of a marginal figure, which I definitely was. I was definitely a marginal figure in the social scene.
You didn't have enough clout.
Right. Definitely not. I think a lot of it in hindsight, at the time, I kind of overlooked it being like, oh, like rolling my eyes when Allie would be like, I have my friends, and like Allie is one of our sisters, closest in age to me. Like I have my friends and their brothers and sisters kind of looking out for you. But then I realized like that was kind of true in some sense.
Sure.
I talked about how, you know, her best friend Janine's brother used to drive me to school sometimes. He drove like a Trans Am, and he was a senior and I was a freshman, and he was like super cool. And he didn't care like the way it made him look, you know? And so that kind of gave me a little credibility. And then there was Matt, another one of Allie's friend's little brothers, who kind of took me under his wing. And he was like, he wasn't he was like a doofus, but he was like a cool kid. So it was like just being in proximity to these people, I think kind of helped peel people away from me, because I was definitely probably a good target. I was super nerdy.
Yeah, me too. Oh
I loved, you know, video games, and would read, you know, fucking Toy Fair at lunch. And I kind of had it coming. Funny. Like someone should have bullied me. You know,
it would have been so much worse 10 years earlier. I always say that about your generation. Like that was when it started to get, you still had some challenges, but your generation was where it started to become acceptable.
Yeah, totally. Like I think
nerd culture was taking off.
Yeah. The mid 90s or so, I think kind of things were kind of getting a little bit more legitimized in terms of nerddom. And then The Lord of the Rings came out when I was a senior in high school. The movie, The Fellowship. Yeah. And that was a big moment. Spider-Man was when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Episode 1 was when it was my end of my freshman year. So there were some like nerd touchstones, but yeah, I was definitely there. I was definitely like a huge dork. And at least early on, I kind of got it a little more what I was supposed to be doing when I was in 10th and 11th grade and in the 12th grade. But that 9th grade year, I was definitely still like a child. Like, no doubt about it.
What year were you? What year were you 9th grade?
That was 1998, 1999.
Yeah. Right. Man. Yeah, that's an interesting time, because it really was. The change was in the offing, but it wasn't quite happening.
Yeah, it's like I write video game walkthroughs.
Toy Fair.
And I have a specialized shelf that my dad hung an A-wing from my ceiling.
See, you could still be cool though. That's the thing. That's the anomaly, right? Like most anime kids, you know, not every anime kid. I don't know. I don't want to say anything too controversial. I'll say this: when I was in junior high and high school, I definitely didn't have the clout to be an upstander. But I wish I could go back sometimes, because I knew what it was like to get bullied. But I'll tell you, my son, right? He's 14 now. Probably 3 different times in his life so far has done the whole upstander, like fuck off and leave the kid alone type thing. Now, I don't know how much clout my son has. I'm not a fly on the wall, so I don't know really. I don't know where his popularity is. Probably somewhere in the middle, to be fair. But he's done that on 3 separate occasions where the teacher is like, I saw Graydon stand up for like the marginalized kid that everybody picks on. And one of the kids I know very well. But what happened, and I don't mean to laugh, it's backfired for Graydon, because what happens is the kid who he was defending wants to become friends.
Yeah, right.
And Graydon is a very kind-hearted kid. So he goes along with it and just kind of hopes for the best. I mean, I'm talking about like play dates outside of school and stuff. And on 3 separate occasions, 3 separate times with 3 separate kids has been like, Dad, enough's enough. I can't stand hanging out with this kid. Like, it's too much, you know? So I feel bad for him, because he on 3 separate occasions was like, usually to his friends, you know what I mean? To the kids who he does hang out with, is like, guys, come on, fuck off. Like, give him a break, you know, type of thing. To the fact where we get a call from the principal or the teacher being like, Graydon did this, right? So maybe it's happened more than we know even. But that's interesting. So I don't know if he'll go in for a 4th time because of how it's backfired for him.
Yeah, kindness backfiring like that sucks.
That sucks.
Because you're not sure what lesson you're supposed to take away from that.
It's like, he's like, Dad, I can't, you know, I'll just, you know, I'll call the guy Marty. You know, he's like, Dad, I can't stand Marty anymore. I just can't do it with him anymore. It's just like too much. You know, he's just a weird kid.
Right. What Marty didn't understand is that, and what little G needs to understand is like, he's trying to broker a ceasefire, but he's not trying to get involved as like a combatant. Like he's not a belligerent.
Right.
He's just trying to get to the table and be like, everyone's got to chill. And then recede like Homer in that meme, like into the bush.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mean to lock into an alliance here.
Right.
I just don't like seeing this fighting, but I don't want to get involved in any other way.
Yeah, I don't want any injustice. Let's serve this injustice.
Yeah.
That is funny.
Just know that I notice.
Just know that I see what's happening and I do not approve.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, just giving it the old college try. Like, and I can remember, like, there were maybe three different kids I grew up with who I was friends with, who I just felt bad for. It wasn't that I stood up for them in any specific situation. It's just I felt bad for them, to the point where our slightly younger sister Dana would be like, "Why are you hanging out with so and so?" I think because they were all a grade younger than me in her grade. She's like, "Why are you hanging out with so?" And I'll be like, I don't know. I just felt bad for him, and maybe he's not as bad as everyone makes it out to be. In all situations, they are as bad as everyone makes it out to be. They're just awkward kids that aren't fun to hang around with, right? But it's like one of those things where it's like you got to find out the hard way.
Yeah. A lot of times the crime is just that they're not fun. You know what I mean? They're just not interesting, which is like not, it's not the worst thing to be necessarily, but I don't think I've ever had anything like that. I think I was only ever friends with people. But I kept a really tight circle. Like I was friendly with damn near everybody, but like I wasn't like
that's good to be
going over everybody's house.
Mm-hmm.
There's like maybe one or two people that I just couldn't stand, but like I didn't make it their problem. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good way to be. I feel like my daughter's more like that. I feel like she's friends with everybody despite social group, genre, whatever they're into. Like she's got a very eclectic friendships. I mean, her tight friends are her tight friends, but I feel like she's friends with everybody despite who they are or what they do, what sports they play, what music they listen to. That's interesting because I don't think I was that open-minded, unfortunately. I just wanted to be with the kids that were into what I was into, which is kind of like, it's not a great way to be. It's immature, I guess.
I don't know. I think because I feel like I was friends with people, like there was always some linking thing. Like it might've been video games, right? It was the thing that like we all did, but like everybody did a different thing. Like there were people like more into music, more into sports, more into XYZ. There was just a commonality of like, oh, at home, everybody's going to link up on Xbox Live and go into a party chat and just, that'll be after school or something.
That was the common bond.
That was the common bond when I was in school, because I was freshman in 2007.
Wow.
Which is a very different, because like when I was like, by the time like school in the late 90s and 2000s was, I would imagine, wildly different. Like by the time I was in school, like it wasn't weird to wear Star Wars shirts. You know what I mean? People like, it was such a big thing that like people's parents were watching it. The kids were into it. Video games were too big to ignore. Like even the jocks or like the people who were like, I remember the big thing was like sneakers around that time. I don't know what the hell that was about. Like people, like, a lot of cool kids were like really obsessed with sneakers. I don't know what that was about.
2007, 2000. Yeah, that was a big. That's when Nike Dunks came out.
Well, 2000 like. I'm thinking like 2004, 2005.
Yeah,
like kids in my elementary school were like really like they were more into. It was still sports was the cool thing, but then it was like sneakers happened. But then after school, like somebody would come in with like a game. I remember this so distinctly because it's such a unique experience, and I'm sad that I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have, because I didn't. I just thought this was how school worked. But like after school, the Catholic school that I used to go to would basically like, okay, school's done, but the campus, for lack of a better term, it was a very small building, but it's open until like 9 p.m. This is after school. And so teachers would be there grading stuff and like doing, whatever it is they do. But the kids could just like, we had like run of the school basically. And so like we would go into the math room and some kid would always bring his GameCube, and like there would be like Smash Brothers Melee there. People would be playing Smash Brothers Melee in the math room for like hours and after school. And you'd be like, what the fuck is, and I remember thinking like, this is sick. I love school. It's awesome. I get to play video games that I don't have and like just chill with a bunch of people. It was the closest I felt like as a kid to being an adult, actually, because it's just like your parents aren't around. You're just kind of navigating these social spaces. There's no real, you're not working in school really. It's almost like you come home for a long day's work and then you go to a bar but like for like a kid.
Yeah.
And so like all the kids, like eventually, like, you know, cool kids, sports people, they would be inevitably in that room and they'd be like, oh, what's that? You know, and then they would try it out. And the nerd thing wasn't huge by the time I was in school. And I feel like cliques vanished as well. Like there was no such thing as like a cool table or like a, you know, that's where the goths go, or like everybody, it was all very intermingled. And nobody seemed to care. It was interesting.
Yeah,
I think I would have preferred that. I definitely would have preferred that.
It was pretty cool, but it was also like a complete. It was so completely antithetical to every representation of school that I had seen in media up to like my entire life.
And shows.
So I almost felt like it was very confusing to me because I was just like, none of this is believable.
I love
none of this is believable at all.
I love that perspective. Yeah, it must have been so confusing because that's what you saw on TV and movies.
Yeah, even just the actors that they would cast to play high schoolers too. You think that there was something wrong with you because you weren't like 26. Like I remember, like all my friends. I remember having a conversation with my friends when we were all 14. We were all like, "Should we look like this still?" And we were and it was this conversation was so funny. I remember it like it was yesterday because we were talking about like, is there something in our water that's like we were all like freaking out because we're watching all these movies and like everybody's like in high school, but they're like, you know, Tobey Maguire and Spider-Man where he's like 27 or something,
right?
Or like what is it? Oh my god, the guy who plays Flash Thompson in Spider-Man 1.
What is his name?
I forget his first name.
I'll look him up.
But he's so unreasonably like that is someone's dad, dude. You know, and we were just looking at all of our scrawny ass bodies, and we were like, "Is this supposed to have like genuine concern with how we were like supposed to be?"
Yeah, I feel like that was a problem that spanned even earlier than that, but certainly probably really hit home. Yeah, Joe Manganiello.
Yeah.
Yeah, Manganiello.
I don't want to fight you, Flash. I wouldn't want to fight me neither.
He's a man. He's a full-on man.
That was supposed to be a 15-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
It's so weird. And you know what? It kind of springs right from the comic book pages because they were drawn like that too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They didn't look like kids in the comics either.
Dude, Spider-Man the animated series. Me and Kingston and the guys over on the Snark Tank often joke that Peter Parker in that show as Peter Parker is more buff than Spider-Man is. Like he's bigger as Peter Parker than he is as Spider-Man, which makes no sense. Like they drew him. They drew him so I love that show, but like they drew him hilarious.
It's great. It really is.
Everybody in that show is so unreasonably stacked. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was a funny choice that they did it that way. It kind of works though. It's campy.
Yeah, everybody's hot. Everybody can bench press 4 million pounds. It's just whatever. And by the time you get to Venom, who's supposed to be big, it's just like he just looks like anybody else.
Yeah, that is true.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like school with like that cultural shift and also just the technology kind of thing. I remember being blown away by some kid after school brought in a portable DVD player and he was watching like some Family Guy episode on a portable DVD player and I was like, what the fuck is this?
I remember seeing those in the early 2000s.
Like
that was exotic.
Like, definitely.
Dude,
exotic.
But like at the age that I saw them, I genuinely couldn't understand because I was like, I had only ever seen like television without wires made no sense to me. Like I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was impossible. Stupid.
That's I love that. I love the perspective of somebody exactly your age.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
Because things started to really change quickly.
Yeah.
So the differences between yours to me and me to Chris is actually fairly radical considering how much time has passed. We don't look at time like that, moving that quickly in history at all.
No, it's a recent thing. Like I would argue that like, yeah, like our age differences now mean more than they would have like a century earlier. You know? Like somebody growing up in the 1870s versus the 1850s. Like I don't know if there's that much of a difference. Like there probably is. But
it's a great point. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really do.
It'll only get more like this, I think.
I think so.
I absolutely do think I think it's truncating. I think No, truncating is probably the wrong word. It's accelerating in that sense because I have nephews who are in high school, and even they're talking about like, dude, I don't even know what the ninth graders are saying. You know, like,
is that funny?
It's very funny. It's super fucking fascinating. I wonder how quick it could go before it either slows down or becomes like untenable.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I just don't know.
It's interesting. I'm always fascinated with our parents are 75, are going to be 75 this year. And
my dad is 75.
Oh, okay, cool. So same exact thing then. Like, these are people that not only lived in the 50s, like were born in the very beginning, but like remember them. And think about just the paradigm that they've been through like their entire life. It's really quite crazy because things are going to get crazier from here, but it's all in the same direction. Like, it's all technological and things of this nature, but they lived through like a whole cultural revolution as well. And just a different way of looking at things, and kind of women, you know, coming more out of the house, Black people and minorities like getting rights, and all of this craziness. I talked to Dad when I saw him last time. I'm like, you lived in a world where you can go and buy something for like a penny.
Yeah.
You could go and get like a burger for 25 cents or something.
Incredible.
Like, it's you lived in that world. It's not something, and you came from that world, and you've seen everything in between now and then. That's crazy. Now I think it's crazier just because from being born in the early to mid 80s onward, it's like things are getting pretty intense from a different perspective, where it's like we're really talking about mind implants and uploading memories and cryogenic sleep and interstellar space travel. And it's like, what? Like, it's all happening. You know, it's cool.
Yeah. What's crazy about that stuff though is that like that doesn't seem nearly as crazy to me as being able to buy something with a penny.
Right. That's why I'm saying it's totally they lived through a more cultural, more a shifting thing, that value perspective and all of that. It's interesting.
No,
the things 100%. They could buy. Oh my God. Incredible.
Dude, to live in a world where a coin mattered to me at all would be wild. Like, I can't remember. Coins only matter to me in the sense that like quarters matter for laundry. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like a coin is damn near like, what's even it's almost like a yen to me.
Yeah. We talked about that on Sacred.
It's understandable. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, Chris. I found when I was on one of my jaunts the other day, I found a quarter on the ground and I picked it up instinctively. And then I was thinking, I'm like, what am I even going to do with this? Because that's what it used to be. It was like, it's a laundry token.
Yeah. It's Pac-Man. It's a game of Pac-Man. Yeah.
But now I'm like, I don't even know what I would do with a quarter. I just sitting on my nightstand. Just like, yeah, here, it's going to sit there probably forever because I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Yeah. I just have a fidget quarter basically.
Oh, I like that. I always wanted to learn how to do that trick.
This helps with guitar for me.
Oh yeah. I can see that.
But
that makes sense. Yeah.
But like, yeah, dude, like I don't know. A 25-cent burger is so much more alien to me than even just like the concept of like artificial intelligence.
That's insane.
Yeah. And I remember like using quarters for like vending machines and stuff, but like that's it. You know, I see a penny on the ground. Under no circumstance am I picking it up. You would have to pay me to pick up a penny.
Yeah, but no, penny, definitely not. No.
Because all I'm doing at that point, like, you have to consider how filthy money is, right? Also, oof. Right? So, like, you don't know what kind of pathogens are on that fucking thing. You don't know if you're going to get, like...
The dollar flu.
You could get sick from picking up something that is not even remotely worth that at all. You know?
It's a good point.
So, like, to me, I'm just like, I've straight up thrown pennies in the fucking trash. Like, I hate... pennies are meaningless. Like, sincerely, I don't even know why we still make them. If we do we?
Well, I think that's one of the things that they're trying to do is to phase them out again. Yeah, they cost apparently 2 pennies to make a penny or something like that, right? It was like something weird that they just recently released.
And it's not the same mineral count. Like, it's not even copper anymore.
No,
right? It's like
I told you I went down the rabbit hole for a little while on YouTube of coin collectors, and yeah, I learned all these things about the different pennies that they're looking for and the content of the penny and all the rest. It's interesting. But yeah, I think it's time to get rid of the penny for sure and just round things.
100%. It's been time.
Yeah, it really has. It
really has been time. What do you guys do if you see a dollar bill?
Oh, I'll pick it up for sure.
I pick up $1. A dollar is the new a dollar.
Oh yeah,
a dollar is a dollar is the new quarter to me. You know, where like
I think that's fair.
I'll pick up $1. But I will say this: if $1 falls, like if I have $1 and it falls behind like a piece of furniture or whatever, I'm not moving the furniture to get that.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll just like at one point I'll move this and I'll have like a nice surprise $1. But like there's no urgency there.
What constitutes moving it? A 10? Probably a 10.
Yeah, I'd move it for a 10.
A 10.
I'd move it for a 5, probly even.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I find 5s like a useful division point. But like a dollar, no. I would actually probably like. It's weird. I understand this, but like I would probably move furniture for a quarter and $1, but none of the things in between them. Like I don't know if I would move my furniture for like a 50-cent piece.
Oh, that's funny.
A $50.
A hay penny.
What about a $2 bill? Yeah, I guess you would go.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I haven't seen one of those in a long time.
Absolutely.
That's been a while since there was a time. I remember this, and I'm old. I mean, I'm 51 years old. I remember when I was little, like let's say 5, so late 70s, maybe it was into the early 80s. I don't know. There was a specific mom and pop hardware store. It was either a Pergament or a True Value or something. This is like before the big box stores, the Lowe's and the Home Depots. There was a gumball machine set up in the vestibule of this building as you walked in, and there were nickel gumballs. And that's the last time. So let's say it was 1980 for the sake of argument. That was the last time I ever saw anything for sale for 5 cents, where you could put a nickel in the gumball machine and get. It wasn't even the gumballs. You know what it was? It was like those chiclets, like those square gum.
Oh yeah.
You get a handful of them. That was the last time I ever saw anything for a nickel.
That's very old school. Like that's a very nostalgic thing to see for me. I feel like I don't see those very often. The chiclet gum, or like those types.
Yeah.
of things. Do you ever go in the? I have very distinct memories of like these things in supermarkets where they would be like gumball machines, but they would be just for like random like stickers and like trinkets and shit. And I have that very distinct memory. And I went to a like kind of like a local supermarket recently, and I realized that they weren't there, and it felt weird that they weren't there.
It was like, where you put the 2 quarters in and push it in, right? You put the 2 quarters side by side, you push it in, and you get the decal out.
It kind of felt like a lever action rifle.
Yeah,
cool.
That had a cool action to it. You're right.
It was fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Those were cool.
And then you get some piece of shit sticker of like, I don't know, Bubbles from Powerpuff Girls, and then it would like degrade in like a day. But like, I don't know. I'm kind of sad. I mean, they serve no purpose, I guess. But like, I guess I'm sad to recognize the less of the world, I guess.
Yeah, there's no more tangible, tactile, fun stuff.
No, now it's here's a gift card for 15 V-Bucks.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin in a vending machine is awesome.
NFTs. It's kind of sad. Yeah. Guys, you know what I wanted to tell you about? That my biggest pet peeve, axe to grind, hill to die on. I know I've talked about this with Colin, but and this might be, well, you guys can tell me if you agree with this or not, because this might be a very specific designer, animator perspective, but I felt this way for 20 years now. Why are we still using a fucking computer mouse or a trackpad on a laptop when you could just touch a screen or draw directly on the screen with a Cintiq or a pen?
Oh.
Or a video game controller for games. Don't come at me with games. The computer mouse is the most fucking bullshit thing. As soon as you learn to use something else, the computer mouse, I can't believe it's still a thing. It's still so much a thing that everybody's talking about the Switch 2 with the mouse capabilities. I'm like, are you kidding? Why isn't it going away? I hate it. I can't stand the computer mouse. I think it is the most outdated technology. Look at the technology of computers. Look how far we've come with the processing power, the graphical capabilities, to say nothing of the internet, social media, all that kind of stuff. We're still using a mouse. I don't understand. It's almost like it aggravates me as much as conventional batteries. Why are batteries still a thing? And why are they so fucking expensive?
Dude, that's what I was going to say. I was at Walmart the other day picking up charcoal, I think, with Micah. And there was a pack of 7 Energizer AAA batteries for like $8 or whatever. I'm like, what?
It's ridiculous.
Are you kidding? When did batteries get so expensive? I wanted to buy them just to throw them away.
Wait a second.
Yeah, but no, you're absolutely right. It's heinous.
Is it funny that there's like a proper way to dispose of batteries and absolutely nobody does it?
No, I'm not. Listen, I'm not doing it. I've said that before. It's not happening. Like,
yeah,
we dig holes in the ground. I actually just saw there's a great YouTube channel I love called Practical Engineering. It's really, really interesting. Very, very good 20-minute videos about just these random things. And a dude did about like, what do we do with our garbage? Like, what is a landfill really? And it was so interesting. And I'm like, yeah, just dump this. That's what we're doing. We're just dumping everything in there. I'm not segmenting my batteries. I'm sad enough to know over the years that I've been going through all this trouble since we got Kirby on Long Island in 1989 or whatever and started recycling. That's just basically a way to just throw things out in a different way. That like have much of the things you recycle are not being recycled in any way, shape, or form. So it's like I've just accepted that. And I was telling Micah and I were watching that episode of Practical Engineering, and I was like, she thought I was kidding, and I'm like, I'm not kidding at all. We should be launching it would be awesome if we could just launch our garbage into space. It would be so expensive. You would need like a space elevator to do it efficiently, like a huge space elevator to do it, and just like let it all go into orbit and just fly away or burn back in the atmosphere.
And it burns up.
It will just, it would be nice to just shoot it in a direction, just be like, bye. And then it just slowly travels away from the earth in these little capsules full of trash.
I would say just shoot it into the sun.
Yeah, that's possible. That's totally fine. Yeah, you could do that too.
That's really interesting. What's the argument against shooting it into the sun?
It's impractical
and
it's
expensive. Really expensive. I mean, it would just be crazy expensive.
Too far away.
And also just, I think the pollution of launching several metric tons of, garbage, like just sheer fuel burning.
Sounds like
it's a totally impracticality. It's not possible in any way.
Like you would need to invent like proper like almost like zero propulsion kind of lift. You know what I mean? Where there's like no exhaust and like it could handle like any weight. Like you'd have to have like genuine borderline sci-fi technology to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And in the meantime, I was impressed to learn how they do it and like in a modern way. And I guess I always thought that they kind of dug a hole. But that's not what they do, and that makes sense in some.
What do they do?
They like basically just pile it on top, and then they just pile dirt over it, and they just mash it down like over and over and over and over again, and then eventually it becomes like too big. They were going into one of the, I don't remember like where it was, but he uses like it's in Southern California, like a landfill in Southern California for LA that was open in the 50s and I think closed in 2011, and then they've let it kind of nature reclaim it in some sense, and so we just kind of stack it up, and it's pretty efficient, all things considered. What we have to do to get rid of this stuff. Someone's got to.
Do you remember the dump on Long Island?
Yeah, definitely, because you could smell it. Like,
oh, you could definitely smell it,
depending on where you were driving to and stuff.
When I was little in the 70s, I'm sure you and I have talked about this. It was like a little mound, and then by the time we got to the 20 teens, it was huge, or the 20, even the aughts. It was like this gigantic mountain. So it was interesting to see that time lapse in my mind's eye of that thing just growing, over the time that I was there, which was only a few decades. And for probably a very populated place, but one of the least populated places on that island, right? But just an enormous landfill. And then did they have, I guess they eventually, there's some sort of time restraint on those, right? Like they have to close them within.
Yeah, like you just run out of space, and like you have like certain. The one in LA was interesting. They showed a map where they were started to buy pieces of land around the original one to like keep it alive, and then eventually, and then eventually got like too high, so high that they were like, it's done. It's basically dead now. Now it's like an artificial mountain. So
right,
yeah,
and then it just right. What's the big one in Staten Island? Fresh Kills.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
the big one that you could see from the Goethals or the or 95 or whatever. It's so interesting.
That's fucking amazing. But so this mouse thing.
Yeah, talk to me about this.
So in what way are you like as like an interface device or as like a drawing tool? Because obviously a drawing tool, it's a horrible drawing tool. I mean, you would never use a mouse over a Cintiq for any reason in that sense.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah, no. But you know what though? You know what I learned? I only learned this maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I took a specific graphic design job. It wasn't even a graphic design job. I correct that. It was a motion graphics job for broadcast that those animators were all using a mouse. And I was just like, what is happening? How are you guys animating with this thing? Now, it's computer animation. A lot of it's 2D, but you're still doing everything that you need to do. There's very little drawing involved in a traditional sense. But you're still manipulating everything you need to do and create, whether that's Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere, whatever you're doing. With the mouse, it's so ass backwards to me because I've been using a Cintiq for 25 years now. That shocked me. But there are a lot of people in graphic design and motion graphics and computer animation, I guess, in general, that are still using a mouse. And it just seems like such a it's antiquated, but it's also, there's something about being down here and the images that you're manipulating or your workspace is up here, that there's this detachment that just doesn't make sense. There's got to be a better way, even if it's not touch screens and Cintiqs, which of course that's what it is now. I just can't believe people it's still an industry standard to use a mouse for anything. I mean, even the layman just navigating on the computer or doing their email or whatever they're doing on the laptop.
I do think it's an element of probably just it requires the least. It gives you the most amount of functionality for the least amount of physical exertion. Like like if I wanted to, I think that's really the only thing about it, and it's also just inundated and ingrained in our culture and how we interact with these things. But if I can sit here, right, and I can kind of discreetly like move things around, and it's not really, you guys would have no idea that I'm doing anything.
You're right.
But if I had to go like, all right, I got to move this.
Yeah, I don't want to interface with my screens like that personally. I love the mouse. I do think it's interesting that this is the phone. This is the solution we came up with in the 70s, and we just never abandoned it. That's true, but
people are just used to it.
Yeah,
right?
and so maybe it will phase out, but I think it makes perfect sense. It's a really ingenious sort of solution. I think eye tracking in some sort of way would probably even be better than touching the screens.
Oh yeah,
but
that stuff's getting good too.
But
That's a great point.
I know you've always like I can't use your computer setup at your house over the years because you don't even have a mouse.
There's no mouse, right?
That's so funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know how to do it. Like I don't know how to use the pen. Like use it. It's like because you're like I'm inverted and stuff too when I do things. So it's like it's all strange when I'm trying to like control a point on the screen and push up, and I really want to push down and stuff.
You know what I really hated about the mouse back in the day was when you had the ball track.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
And you had to clean it.
It got gross.
Yeah, that was
take it apart, clean it.
The second we got the laser, I was like, oh
yeah, the laser's huge.
Where it's over. Like this is perfect.
I think most people side with you. I mean, it's obviously not going anywhere, right? It is a very elegant technology, and the fact that people are just accustomed to it, yeah, it's interesting. As soon as I learned to use, it was before even Cintiqs when we were just using Wacom tablets, but still the pen tool. From that point on, I just wanted to navigate and do everything with the pen. And that's when I gave up the mouse. But I do wonder what percentage of animators, let's say, designers, animators, computer artists, illustrators, whatever. I wonder how many of them still use a mouse when they're not just drawing proper. Because I never really took a cross section or even really had this discussion, oddly, with other animators. It's just a personal thing. Like it's so intuitive. I guess you grow up, it's an extension of the crayon. Technically, I'm doing the same thing I did when I was a kid drawing in a coloring book. Now I'm just doing it not on paper. I did, though, a lot of people, when the technology was new in like the early 2000s, late 90s maybe, I did tape a piece of typing paper across my Wacom tablet to give it some tooth because it was just too glassy. Like we weren't used to that yet. Drawing on a glassy surface, we wanted to feel more like paper. So taping the paper to the oh my God, I forgot all about that.
Oh, that's
to
so
the
crazy.
Tablet made it feel more like drawing in a conventional sense until we had to
that's
give
so
that
interesting.
Yeah, that was a big. I'm old.
That would make sense.
And then the paper got so
funny.
scuzzy, you have to replace it like every week. Tape a new piece on or whatever. That's interesting. Yeah, the mouse has always bothered me. I guess it's just a thing where it seems like everything's evolving except the mouse, which is frustrating, but it does make sense. People just like it. It has utility. And practicality, and people are just used to it.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. Yeah. For me, it's just like
Do you have, so with your computer, is it like I would imagine you're not at like a desktop type situation.
I use a desktop primarily.
But do you go, like when you're navigating Windows, are you like doing this to the screen and stuff?
No, I have a Cintiq monitor, but for podcasts and things where I don't want my arm up, I'll just use my tablet. So essentially, it would be the same to you as using a mouse, but I'm down here with the pen.
Okay.
So
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't use the Cintiq.
I use the pen for Photoshop. Like when I do Photoshop, I use the pen.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I couldn't even understand. There are still illustrators to this day that use a mouse. Not even, and you would be surprised, like not even just the super graphic, streamlined Powerpuff Girl style stuff, which you could understand, After Effects or Illustrator lending itself to that. But like people that really do conventional, more loose sketching, using a mouse for that is incredible to me. I don't know how they do it, but they probably just got stuck in. Yeah. And, got used to a certain way of doing things and just never changed it. But it always shocks me.
It's very funny. I did an animation camp kind of course in like 2005 in, I think, Ossining or Peekskill. It was like one of those places. Like,
okay.
It was in between where we ended up moving and where we used to live. But in 2005, I remember going to this animation camp. We learned how to animate. We made like, it was like a whole summer where we spent time just making Flash games where it was like Macromedia at that time. It was Macromedia Flash, and just like doing different animations. But there was no tablet. There was no Cintiq or anything. So like we all of our animations were just with the mouse, and they just all looked brutal. They all looked so scuffed and fucked up. Like no, it was. To the point where like when I met somebody with a Cintiq or like with like a tablet, I was like, whoa, what the hell kind of technology is that? Like I didn't understand it. Like it was like entirely new to me. And then I found out, I kind of just basically found out in this conversation that they've been around since the 90s.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of bewildered why like there was even an animation course in the first place. if they weren't going to lean into being able to draw.
Yeah, that always seems like cruel and unusual punishment to make kids use a mouse for that.
I think, I mean, this is recontextual. Maybe it's a scam. It was entirely a scam. It's like we're not just gonna draw with a mouse, animate with a mouse. I still have animations on. Well, they're probably private now, but like I used to post like little Flash animations on YouTube, but they were all with the mouse.
Oh, that's so cool! I'd love to see those.
I could see. Yeah, I bet they're still sitting there. I could send you one of them. They're terrible.
The mouse was a big thing. That there was another thing when Macromedia Flash came out. I think it was called Future Splash before they called it Flash. But there was a program that Adobe made called Streamline, which was designed to scan in traditionally inked. You could probably use pencil too, but inked drawings and then scan them into the computer, and you could import them into Flash, and Flash would vectorize the line art. So essentially, you could create your Flash animations out of conventional drawings as long as you scanned each one in. And then it would turn those bitmaps into vectors. And then you could then, flatten them and color them and stuff like that. So that was like, even before people were really drawing in the computer, or God forbid now with everybody's got their iPad Pro and stuff like that. Dude, It was so crazy. But it's only been a quarter of a century, and how far things have gone, but the mouse is still here. It's still here through all that. So it's a pet peeve, but I do understand it. If I wasn't a designer, I'd probably be on the same page as everybody else. I do remember when, it was probably the third studio I ever worked for. We were still drawing conventionally and scanning our drawings in, and it was digital ink and paint. But I do remember the designer I was working with who twisted my arm to move over from the mouse for that. And he's like, even though you're not drawing, you need to start using this. This is the Wacom tablet. And I remember the pain of that day, like over the course of that 8 hours, getting used to this thing. But by the second day, maybe a full work day in, I never looked back. It just took that 8 hours of like pain to be able to go from the mouse to the tablet. And that was it. That was one of the easiest burdens I ever had to deal with in my life. Yeah. But I would keep the mouse and trade the batteries. I can't believe batteries are still a thing. I just can't.
Yeah, it is interesting. A lot they're needed, but
yeah, you say things have evolved, but like I feel like batteries haven't either.
No.
Like it's kind of amazing to me that they're actually still as similar as they used to be.
Yeah.
Like they don't even keep things alive for particularly that much longer. That's what's so wild to me is like everything is so much has exponentially evolved, but like the AA battery is still going to keep your controller alive for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Like shouldn't these be like at least like a week by now?
I know.
You know, like I'm confused by that. I really don't get it.
They're not going to make any money doing that though.
That's true. Well, that's kind of
see what I mean.
This is going to get me off on a whole other fucking tangent about that.
yeah,
I really do believe that there's like at a certain point there is like an incentive where like it's like the capitalistic incentive is good up until a point until they realize like we can't make it too good because then we can't like milk this for money, and so there's like there's this inherent ceiling to how good something can be.
That's well said.
Because it can't be so good that you're not gonna buy it again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. It's the thing that's most infuriating to me about it. But because there's we can make a light bulb that doesn't go out. You know that.
Yeah, there's that one light bulb in California that like hasn't gone out in like 100 years, right? That like random Edison bulb, which is so funny.
Oh shit, I didn't know this.
Yeah, there's like you can.
I bet that's a code we cracked forever ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there is something sad about that. There's just so much waste. I just remember how much as a kid, and Chris, your generation was probably on the very tail end of experiencing this. In fact, is just using a lot of batteries and factoring in the need of batteries. And I think about that specifically with the Game Boy, of course, where it's like, damn, dude, I used to crank through these fucking batteries to the point where like you wanted to get a kind of one of those primitive chargers where you would recharge the AA's and it kind of worked. And then I always bring this up as like if you weren't around for it, the Game Boy Advance SP, the clamshell, was like a revolutionary device because it was both backlit and had a battery inside of it. And it was like, whoa, what? Like I remember so clearly getting it because it was so, I went to Target, I bought that and a Pokemon game. And I was like, this is fucking incredible. Cause I loved the Game Boy Advance, but you're playing it under a goddamn lamp. It's still taking AA batteries. And then suddenly you just get rid of all of those problems with one device. And then every device is like that moving forward. So suddenly I wasn't a consumer of batteries anymore, really. Mm-hmm. And people that I knew that had the Game Gear, I mean, it was a joke how many batteries that thing used. It was crazy
that thing was the worst.
How many batteries that thing used.
The worst.
Yeah, it wasn't
3 hours maybe.
It wasn't like 6 batteries for like
it was like 6
for like a day.
Yeah, it was like 6 batteries. Like you had to have like the RF thing for it for sure. Obviously playing in the car that was not, or on the road is not an option, but I just remember a lot of those things. I remember even some older games using, like you had that motorcycle game that I found and gave you a while ago.
Yes.
And that takes C batteries, which is hysterical. It's like these were so inefficient.
That's made it so heavy.
Yeah, it was
so insane.
Yeah.
Drop it on your foot and break your toes.
No, dude, the Game Boy Advance was mind blowing to me at because what was that? That was 2003.
The Game Boy, the SP was 2003. Game Boy Advance itself was 2001.
Right. Yeah, I just man, I remember that so distinctly because I was like, I think I was like 9. I was like 9 years old, and then like suddenly that felt like the most sophisticated piece of technology I had ever seen. Like when I saw it, like the Game Boy Advance SP with like the backlight and like the you can't take the battery out, and it's so sleek.
Yeah, it's very
gorgeous. I think that machine doesn't get its flowers enough. Actually, like I think it's a wonderfully designed bit of kit.
Yeah. It's the same thing with the DS version 2 is also an incredible machine. They're very similar, actually. One is just wider than the other.
They are, yeah. Beautiful.
Because
to me, that's when Game Boy started. I wouldn't even play Game Boy before that.
Yeah, Dagan hated because I had a Game Boy in the early 90s and Dagan hated it.
I hated it. You couldn't see it.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you couldn't. But I was on the road so much, like traveling for hockey and on the bus and going back and forth between mom and dad and stuff. Like the Game Boy was like my best friend. And then I ended up getting one of those really nerdy things you would attach to it. Was like a light, which took its own two batteries.
Oh my God, was it that weird thing that almost looked like it was like a clamshell kind of?
Yeah.
Like,
and you would, yeah, right.
And there was like a glass on it, I think.
Yeah, it was glass and it magnified the screen and lit it up.
Oh, I forgot
and it was
that.
really cool. I remember getting it at Circuit City but yeah, that was like more batteries that you need. And then when your Game Boy started running out of batteries, you would just pillage that thing for batteries and
you pillage.
It was a complete mess. Like the battery situation was a complete mess. But
and they had that little lamp on the really awkward looking lamp that you'd plug in and then it would spiral over,
right?
And it was literally like a reading lamp.
Yeah, I think Nintendo had sold one of those themselves.
They did.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah,
because the thing I had for the magnifier was like a third party thing. But yeah, I think Nintendo themselves. Yeah, it's so interesting to think about. Yeah, the role of the waning role of batteries. I mean, in some ways they're more important than ever. But we just have rechargeable batteries, which is just so much cleaner. But I remember as I recall, people can tell me if I'm wrong, but as I recall, I believe the Game Boy clamshell, the SP, the Advanced SP, it came with, because it was kind of a primitive lithium battery, and I think it came with a warning saying like you should really charge this thing up all the way before you turn it on. You know, it was like one of those things like don't, because I remember also waiting for the light to turn whatever color it turned. Like so I was like very patiently waiting when I got it home instead of like turning it right on, and I think it was because of that.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean.
My Game Boy Advance SP does not like it doesn't hold a charge anymore, which is like really like it holds it for like a second and then it dies.
Yeah, it's probably trivial to replace it if you want.
Yeah, I bet I could really at this point. It wouldn't be too hard. But I'm really happy that I still have the one that I got in 2003 that I opened on Christmas. What a gorgeous machine.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And had awesome games.
Oh yeah,
it really did.
Short-lived, but
dude, I remember playing. That was my first real experience with Super Mario World, I think.
Oh, Mario Advance. Yeah,
Super Mario Advance. Because I never had a SNES or anything, or like an NES. Well, I did have an NES.
Yeah, Mario World was Super Mario Advance 2 or 3, right? Because Mario Advance was Super Mario 2. It was like, and then one of them was Mario 3, and one of them was Mario World, I think. It was weird, and they called them each Advance 1, 2, and 3.
I think you're right.
Well, I had just straight up World.
Oh, maybe that's what it was then. Yeah,
they just released World, I think. On I could be wrong, but like as far as I remember, that was like the only one that I had.
Because Dave, do you remember the big launch game?
I had Mario Land as well, which was like.
Oh, I love Mario Land.
The big launch game was Mario 2. Remember, like it was but they called it Super Mario Advance.
That's right.
And they kind of redid the art, I think, and put some collectible coins in it.
I might have your copy of that. Actually.
You do. You probably have all my Game Boy Advance games. I have a lot of Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, you're right. It's Super Mario Advance 2.
Yeah, 2, and then Super Mario Advance 3 was, I think, Mario 3 maybe.
Such a good.
I was such a Nintendo nerd at this point. It was like not even funny. So,
dude, being able to play that anywhere was amazing. Like I was so transfixed by that game.
It's excellent. It's one of the great games of all time. It's perfect. It's basically perfect.
Yeah,
it is.
Should we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, Chris, you satisfied, my friend?
Yeah, absolutely. I love how that weaved into so many different things.
That was fun.
I am satisfied.
I feel like I'm going to get a lot of pushback on the mouse thing, but I'm here for it.
It's okay.
Listen, it's a unique perspective, but
it's a hill to die on. That's the point.
Right.
All right, my friends. Topic number 2 today, my friend. Now, as I told the guys, those would be a perfect group. Now we're sans Maddie, but this is still a group. Conceit. I wanted these guys in particular because these are guys with a big fan base. The Colin and Chris, these guys have a lot of fans, a lot of people giving them their flowers. Well deserved, right? For their especially internet escapades. But here's the thing. They got all these fanboys and girls. Well, let's say fanboys. Now I thought we'd take an opportunity to turn Chris and Colin to the fanboys and say, if you had to fan out, it's time for you guys to fan out. You're always being fanned out upon. Now it's time for you guys to do the fanning out. Pick one person, preferably, as I said in the email, a person of a somewhat famous person, an actor, director, a rock star, a musician, comedian, a fellow podcaster, whatever. Somebody you just want to fan out on, somebody you want to, I don't know, sell us on this person. What makes them so wonderful? What makes them so great? You can only choose one. I think that's the kind of the fun bit. Choose one person to fan out on. Who would it be? Chris, I'm going to start with you. You're fanning out on one person. Who's that person going to be?
Oh, man. Yeah, I thought about this a lot because I'm very aware that people are just people ultimately at the end of the day. So I don't really get too into putting people on pedestals necessarily. But there are people. The one that comes to mind and that I can't really deny is Norm Macdonald. I think is just so there is and it's one of those things where like I don't even know if there's really a concise way to really convey why or how, but as a comedian he's just so interesting because he did feel like when I think my first introduction to him was actually like because he did a lot of work in animation. He was in and he still did up until like even recent. Like there was the more recent stuff, which is still kind of old, obviously. But the Mike Tyson show where he played the pigeon, it was perfect. But like,
That's right.
But I remember like in my cognizant memory, my first real memory of him is he played Death in Family Guy, the Grim Reaper, and then he played Norm the Genie in Fairly Odd Parents. And I remember when they replaced him because I guess he just didn't come back for whatever reason. And they got some guy doing a terrible impression of him, and I was like, "Oh, that's not Norm." But I was like a kid; I shouldn't have even been thinking about that. Like, but but he sounded so unique to me. The delivery of everything that he said, just the way that he would speak, and obviously his time on Weekend Update. But I think beyond that, just like his presence on his show with Adam Egget as like his fall guy, I think all of it is so. There's endless. I will watch clips from that podcast still to this day, and I will laugh at it as if it's like the first time I heard it. when he's just like, and it's all in the delivery, and just I remember like there was a roast that he did where I think it might have been the roast of Bob Saget. I'm not entirely sure. People can correct me if I'm wrong, but he was a guest on a roast, and everybody was going the traditional route, and he just kind of went up there and read like he was like doing jokes out of like a 1940s like joke book where he's like, "Oh yeah, Bob Saget's got a face like a flower. Yeah, cauliflower." And then he would pause, and all the comedians were laughing, but like the audience was like, "What the like?" No one was laughing, and that was what I loved most about him is that like he would just bomb in front of people on purpose, just because he liked it. Like that is hysterical to me. Like he thought it was funny that he was not being funny in front of people, and that made it hilarious.
It's classic.
It's great. There's a lot of stories of him too. Just like he would break rules that would have excommunicated anybody else, but like they somehow just didn't. Like I remember there was a story about him like stealing an entire tight five from somebody, and they were in the green room, and he was going on before this other guy, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go up now," and he just did his entire set. So the guy who went after him was left with nothing, and and everybody talks about that as if it was like hilarious, but like dude, Joe Rogan got famous almost specifically because of like how he called out Carlos Mencia for stealing jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Norman Reynolds stole some entire guy's tight five, and that was the bit. It's amazing. Like it's just like I don't know. He's so funny. His voice is so unique. His delivery is so funny. I even like those weird movies that he did. Like I like Dirty Work a lot.
Oh, Dirty Work's awesome, dude.
I never saw that.
Dirty Work is. Maybe it hasn't aged as well as I remember, but like I remember laughing my ass off at that movie. There's like a scene. There's a scene where Chris Farley's in it, of course, and Chris Farley elevates everything. But like he plays some guy who got his nose bit off by a Saigon whore, and there's a there's a clip of Norm and Artie Lang in like in the bar or whatever they're at, where it's like, it could be worse. I could have gotten my nose bit off by a Saigon whore. And then it cuts to Chris Farley, the back of his head, and he's doing this slow turn back to the camera. And as it gets to the profile, you see his nose flat, and and he goes, "You bastard!" It is such a stupid clip. And there's like the scene of because the whole plot of that movie is like him, like he runs a revenge for hire business. And so like people call him to just like, I need revenge on this guy. So like this guy shooting a car commercial and it's like a live commercial because like it's insane. It just needs to happen for the movie. But like he just fills all of the car's trunks with like dead hookers. He just hires a bunch of hookers to pretend to be dead. And he's like, there's a dead hooker in this car too. Oh, it's wacky bullshit.
I gotta watch this.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
I've never seen it.
The Saigon horror was like a term that me and my friends would use for like years.
Yeah,
for that. It's like awesome.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, and then Saigon horror. I had no idea what that even meant, but I just thought it was just hilarious. And yeah, obviously his weekend update bits with OJ, like all of those are iconic. The podcast is great. There's actually like a little known. Or I don't know how little known it is now. I remember back in the day, it was kind of like flew under the radar, but there was like a thing that he did with YouTube Live really early. Like wow. he where there was like I don't know, it might've been a VidCon thing. It might've been like some live YouTube thing event. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was around like 2010, 2011, 2012 type of area. So you had like old YouTube people like Kasim G and all these like old school, like that was around the Machinima time. And so Norm Macdonald was inexplicably tapped to host this thing with like a bunch of other people. And he's just there with two YouTubers and he doesn't care at all. And he goes like, Harley Borenstein is here. All the stars are here. And it is a great clip. But like everything he does, I think is funny.
He's very funny.
Oh,
if he's just hilarious. Serious, I think he's actually funnier just being a person than he is as just like a proper stand-up comedian. Because I like his stand-up specials too. Like there's this one bit that he does about like how he would lure a woman and kill her with a cheese sandwich. It's dumb shit. I think it was from like the 90s or late 90s or early 2000s. It's called Me Doing Stand-Up is his special. And he has other ones called like Hitler's Dog was another one that he did. That was like the last one. But yeah, just him on the podcast is so damn funny. Like 9/11 reminds me of that horrible tragedy. But like, or actually, I'll just say my favorite thing and then I'll pass it off. The thing that really like converted me, like, because I always liked him a lot and I always thought he was like really, really great. But like the thing that really was like, oh, this might be my favorite person, is he went on Conan O'Brien's show. And every clip of him on Conan O'Brien is great as well, too. Like there's one of him shitting on a Carrot Top movie, like next to the person who's co-starring along with it. But my favorite thing was him on Conan. I think it was at his TBS run when he had the actual Conan show. He told this joke called it's called the moth joke, and it takes like 7 minutes to finish, and then at the end of it. Like it gets a big laugh and then Conan's like, well, Norm, we're out of time. And the whole time was just this like ridiculous joke about this depressed moth. I highly recommend watching that clip because it is one of my favorite. I have memorized that joke still to this day and I tell it to people. And my favorite thing about that joke is when someone doesn't find it funny. Like that makes it so much better for me.
I think it's so good.
Because it is such a waste of your time. Such a waste of your time. But yeah, Norm Macdonald's definitely up there. There's a couple of other names that I thought about, like musicians that I think are exceptional, who I think are kind of underrated actually, who don't get the flowers they deserve. But I think Norm Macdonald is like easily this person in my life where like if I see a Norm clip, I'm watching it.
Dude, did Norm Macdonald literally invent the marathon joke with minutes of unnecessary information? Because that's a hilarious idea.
Yeah.
Because that's what that is.
It is.
It's like giving you all this extraneous information to arrive at a punchline that could have taken 10 seconds.
Exactly. It is literally just taking old joke book jokes and making them so unbearably long that the punchline feels undeserved. And
it's a great idea.
I think he mentioned. I think I remember hearing him talk about like how he had heard something like a concept similar before, and
so good.
So like, I don't think he invented it necessarily, but he's the first person I think of when I hear a joke like that. Like even jokes that have nothing to do with them. There's one of my favorite jokes that is not a norm joke that is of that very much of that vein, and everybody in the comments of that joke calls it like, oh, this is like a norm joke because it's that synonymous with him. Like he would just waste.
No, that's a good way of saying it.
The way that he would waste people's time is awesome.
There's a norm. The biggest norm thing that I loved as an adult, I loved him on SNL when I was a kid, but was, and it might have been the same Bob Saget roast, or it might have been another roast that he did where he was just reading a newspaper the entire time. So like, people were telling jokes and he would just be, then like they would occasionally say something about it and he would just like look over the newspaper. Like if someone was trying to get his attention and then he would just go back and read it. I just thought that was like the funniest thing ever. Very subtle.
Yeah.
Very
He's got a great demeanor. I think his voice is great. I think his delivery is great. I think he's got the perfect face to deliver it with too. Cause it's like his eyes are always smiling at you. Like it always feels like, even if he's being mean, it's just like, it seems like it can't be.
That's a great way of putting it.
He gets away with a lot because of just the way that, and he also did this thing too, where he would always like, to push the punchline in, he would always go like, he would like deliver and he'd go, and he would stare almost like dead-eyed into the camera. There's a great thing with him and Jon Stewart where he's talking about the crocodile hunter. Have you seen that clip?
No.
Where he's talking about like, they were talking about the crocodile hunter like when he died, and it was like fresh. I think it was like the week that it happened or something, or like the month at least. And he was on Jon Stewart. He was on the Daily Show promoting something. It might have been that stand-up special that I was talking about. But he goes up and he goes, I had people, they were talking about how he died. And it's like, I had people calling me. It's like, oh, you'll never believe who died. The crocodile hunter. He was like, he was so young. He was 40 something. He was like, that's a ripe old age for a crocodile hunter. Like, it's just like this great bit where he had like everybody laughing at something that like nobody wanted to laugh. I think Jon Stewart's even be like, don't make me laugh at this. And he's like keeled over. He's just, he's probably my favorite comedian ever. And he's the first person I thought of when this question came up, and other people came up later, but I still ultimately came back to him.
And he seems like every comedian's favorite comedian. That's the thing. You have to pay attention. I mean, he's got to be funny, right?
Yeah, he's like Nas. You know what I mean? Like, where like Nas is like every rapper's favorite rapper.
Yes, great point.
Where it's just like he's there, man. Like, and the fact, and what's good about it too is that he's dead, so he can't do anything crazy.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. It's like I hesitated about picking somebody who's currently alive because, like, I don't know, man.
Oh, that's a good. I mean, that's a good.
I don't know what they're gonna. I don't know what's gonna end up happening.
Well, he went out. That was the thing about how he went out, where significant. I mean, supposedly he didn't. Not that many people knew he was sick, so he went out so elegantly, and kind of, sort of shaped it so people couldn't act sad while he was still around, which is so interesting to me, and brave. Right? It's the opposite of asking for your flowers. Like, he wanted to go out elegantly and just be remembered as being funny. You know, obviously people were going to be sad later. It was a crazy loss. Comedians especially loved him and, you know, sort of modeled themselves after him as much as they could. But that's an interesting part about, you know, being sick and not letting on and just sort of fading. And so people could remember you for being Norm, being silly and committing to those bits and those ideas and stuff like that, which is really neat. Yeah,
he was sick with cancer like pretty much the entire last decade, I'm pretty sure. Like,
wow.
He was like at least like very sick.
That's so sad.
And it's crazy because like nobody knew. But like there was also, I think he talked about it too, where he talked about it in the context of somebody else. So he kind of obfuscated a little bit. Like I think he was kind of hinting, but he was talking about like how other people handled getting sick, and he's like, I always admired like this. I don't know. It might have been like some country musician who like got sick and didn't tell anybody.
Oh, okay.
And I remember hearing that clip, and he was like, I always admired that because like I certainly like I don't want pity laughs, you know. I don't want people coming to my show and laughing just because they think I'm dying. You know?
You can see him saying that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's crazy. And I never knew about the Fairly Odd Parents thing either. And let me just tell you, who created that show? Butch Hartman.
Yeah.
A guy like that doesn't voice the character anymore, then you don't do the character anymore. You don't revoice a character, like an iconic character.
It was such a terrible impression, too.
Disagree with that.
Yeah, it's very weird. Very strange.
You pull the character. You lose Norm, you pull the character. That's how it goes. Come on, Butch.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that Butch Hartman is famously crazy, though. So I don't...
Yeah, he's supposed to be a little unhinged, that dude.
Yeah. But...
I don't know him. I never had any brushes with him.
No, yeah, I don't know.
Way too big for me, but yeah, that's interesting because I never even knew I got to go back and see. I don't love that show, but I got to see that the fact that they got Norm for that show is pretty cool.
It's for kids. There's parts of it that I think are fun. It's not SpongeBob, you know what I mean? Where like
it's a great idea.
It's a good idea.
The execution, I'm not in love with.
It doesn't hit for an adult like SpongeBob does.
Yes, that's true, right?
Like SpongeBob is hilarious in a way that's like as an adult, I still look at that shit and I'm like, that's amazing. Like that is a great bit. That's a great joke. Fairly Odd Parents is more like for kids.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's a good point.
But right. Yeah, his voiceover shit is kind of crazy. He was in all sorts of weird shit throughout his entire life.
I never blame people for doing it because it pays so well for so little time invested. You know, it notoriously pays really, really well. Maybe you go in the booth for a day or two, you know. But when you could bring a quality and a uniqueness like Norm can, that's pretty neat. And it's pretty rare. A lot of people won't do it still because they think it tarnishes their resume.
Oh, this was the thing that I was thinking of, by the way. He's in, so he played, do you know, you must know, Dagan, this Christmas movie that came out a while ago. It was like this big animated movie. It was Klaus.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
He's in that. Like,
is he really?
Yeah, he's like the first he's like the postman that comes in at the.
I don't think I've seen it.
He's like the sarcastic postman. It's a really great movie, by the way. Genuinely fantastic. But he plays like this sardonic kind of postman that like introduces the new postman to like this like unhinged town or whatever. Okay. He does a great job, but like that was really recent. And he did a great job in it. So it's like it's
yeah, that
strange.
wasn't that long ago. No, the designs in this movie are beautiful. Oh, it was Netflix. Okay. Yeah, I have to watch it. I don't think I saw the whole thing. I didn't even know.
It's a really good looking movie.
Oh, it's so beautiful. The character designs are gorgeous.
It's a great idea too. Like it's if anybody hasn't seen, I know this is like really off topic, but like if anybody hasn't seen that movie, I think it's a genuinely great Christmas movie because it's just like it tries to contextualize the mythology of Santa Claus in like a ground. It's really cool. That's a cool idea. Yeah.
I thought it was Cartoon Saloon, but it's not. But I knew it was for Netflix. Yeah, I have to watch that. See, that the thing is with me, I have kids that won't watch that stuff anymore. Right? That's two teenagers, they're too cool for everything. So I'm on my own with that one. But yeah, that's a good one, Chris. Norm's a good one to send up. I like that. And you know, I didn't specify alive, you know, living or passed away is fine. No rules about that.
Yeah.
Kyle, you're sending up one person. You got to boil it down to one. It's tough. I know it's tough.
Yeah. One came to mind that I'll go to, but I mean, like Chris said, there are a lot of people that I really love. Pretty unconditionally in the pop culture, not even pop culture, but just music culture and gaming culture and all these other things. But I think Larry David is probably the obvious answer for me. He's amazing and funny and clever. And I think especially I always connected to George when I was a Seinfeld fan as a kid, when the show was actually on, not really even understanding the show as well as I did as an adult, obviously. And realizing when Curb started when I was in high school and really falling in love with that show very quickly when it was first on, and realizing, oh, this is the guy that like kind of wrote Seinfeld and was behind the George character and all the rest. And then realizing like, yeah, this is all kind of there's a symbiosis here between me and that character. George is like my favorite fictional character, arguably ever. And Larry is the real life. Like I was looking through old videos on my phone and I found an old clip that I made of George like years ago of, Mr. Tomasulo picked the wrong man to mess with because he's fake handicapped. You know, that like it's just like just such a fucking ridiculous
sentence.
Yeah, it is. It's a ridiculous sentence, a ridiculous character. Love, like absolutely in love with George. Just George Costanza is the best. So yeah, then getting in the Curb and then realizing, and we've discussed this over time, Dag, on Knockback, especially I think is like Larry's usually right. It's just that things often go haywire because things go too literally, or he finds himself in all these strange situations, but he's never really or rarely wrong. And I love the idea of being, you're going to get your flowers forever because you are the co-creator of Seinfeld and the writer of all these brilliant characters and dialogue and all the rest. You have an enormous amount of money, generational wealth. And the idea that this just lets you go through life kind of passively observing and criticizing everything is fucking amazing to me. And it's a dream. It's a complete dream. I always say that I don't even know what I would do with that much money. And I don't really think I would, because I don't think I would need that much money to be like Larry David, to be honest. I would need 1/5 or 1/10 the credentials and like 1/20 the money, and I'll be right there with you. So, yeah. So yeah, I got to give my shout out to him. I mean, just unconditionally. It's funny, even being a Larry David fan, you know, he's notoriously liberal, obviously, turned me on as a kid to various things that I was just a little more tuned into as well. Like I loved the first time I ever saw a Prius, and in fact, the only time I ever saw a Prius for years was on Curb Your Enthusiasm. I mean, he was driving a Prius and like a battery, you know, assisted car at that point in 99, 2000. It's pretty amazing. Always had an eye for environmental causes, which I really appreciate, and philanthropy, which they get a little bit into in the show with Ted Danson when they both
I love that arc.
And it's like from Anonymous and then from Larry David.
Isn't it crazy, by the way, that him and Bernie Sanders are related?
Yeah, they're cousins or something, right? Or something.
I don't know if I knew this.
They are literally cousins, and he played him on SNL, by the way.
Right. Which
was awesome. They did like a whole. Yeah, it was like Burn Your Enthusiasm or something. And he played Bernie Sanders, and like all the characters in the show were like various people in his campaign, and everybody was just shitting all over. It was great. You can't go out there, Bernie. You're gonna hate you, Bernie. It's like, leave me alone. I can get a coffee. I can get a coffee. I'm a normal person. Yeah, and then like I think the whole premise of that thing was like he refuses to help somebody in a car accident or something as Bernie Sanders, and he loses the vote, and that's like the one vote that he needed or something.
That's hilarious.
That's a great. I highly recommend. I mean, SNL has always been like 90% miss, 10% hit. I think people who say like SNL used to be better than it is are kind of like, I don't think they've watched old SNL in a while. Like it's mostly been, I mean, it's a live comedy weekly. Like I can't even imagine.
Yeah, what's going to go wrong?
It's insane that anything that comes out of it is.
There's a lot of filler on the shows that you forget about, even the good ones, like the so-called good seasons have a lot of, they're 90 minutes, you know, so there's going to be a lot of forgettable things.
I still keep up with SNL every now and again because I still think Weekend Update is so great. It's my favorite format for anything. It's because it's quick. It's like a really good. That's a great way to practice comedy writing. I think it's just like pretending to write for Weekend Update is like a great writing exercise. But I think, that sketch was top tier SNL in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to watch that. I never saw that one.
Yeah, I loved when he popped up. They had a lot of people popping up, which was cool for Hillary and for all of the, during the Democratic debates, I remember, because that was one of the ones he was on. They had one of the guys playing, God, I don't remember his name. He was like a Lincoln Chafee, who was like a Rhode Island governor or something, like a really obscure figure. And I remember they were like, they just showed him once and he was saying like, oh, it's me, America, goodbye forever, or something like, because like you'll never see him again. Yeah. It's like very funny, pithy sort of things. But Larry David, I just, I've said before that I love subcultural American humor. Like I've said many, many times, like Black American humor is fucking hysterical to me. Like there's something very funny about Black culture, and like Micah and I talk about it sometimes too. Like there's not everyone, of course, just like saying like all Jewish comedy, which we're gonna get into in a minute. Like there are plenty of Jewish people that are not funny, believe me. But you're around a certain zeitgeist, a certain thing, and Larry, for Jewish humor, I think really encapsulates that, very similar to how black humor might be encapsulated by, Eddie Murphy back in the day, or and so on and so forth. So to me, I look at it and I think, what man better represents kind of the zeitgeist and the feeling and the comedy and the pacing of the place and time that I came from. And it really is him. He's very relatable to me. I think a lot of people can watch Curb and Seinfeld and not relate to it and find it funny. I think that's most people, but I actually find it funny and relate deeply to it. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, yes, this level of neurotic insanity is right up my alley, and not unlike the way I deal with people in my life and my friends and things of this nature. It's very on brand, and it's real. And that's what makes it so funny. I know it's the whole show about nothing thing, and it's very overworn and trite, but it feels grounded because it is. And even with they use a little sweetening. I think they do have people in the audience, so it's real laughter and stuff like that. But even with that those sort of trappings for Seinfeld specifically, when you moved over to Curb, none of that stuff was really missed, which let you know that the groundedness and the funny nature of it and the reality of it, I think, was what transferred pretty well. And in fact, in a lot of ways, Curb is the less consistent but funnier show, mostly because I think it's adult oriented, which is cool. They don't have to pull their punches at all. You don't have to have the bet and beat around the bush, pardon the pun, about what that's all about. You can actually
the contest, right?
You can have this sexual innuendo and all that kind of, and it's just funny. So yeah, I loved that I got to live in Santa Monica for a few years, right in his neck of the woods. And I only realized it later when I would go back and watch those episodes, and even the newer stuff too. It's like, dude, I lived right there, right that part of Santa Monica. It's exactly where they were filming a lot of this stuff. It's like, geez, dude, that's like 2 blocks from where I lived. And when I saw them at Scopa that time in one of the more recent episodes, which is the restaurant you and I used to go to dig, and I'm like, it's so funny, man. It's like so weird. So it was cool to like just imbibe a little bit and be like, yeah, like this is the person I aspire to be in some sense. It's very funny, but like he's an inherently decent, good person, did well for himself, and then just observes all the different ways that everything around him is broken, and yet finds himself victimized by those things simply for observing them and trying to do something about it. And that to me is hysterical. It's what I love about it. He's not an anti-hero. He really is, like, in some ways, the everyman, what the everyman would be if they were also wealthy, like wildly wealthy, and really didn't care anymore. And that's funny. Like, that's just very funny to me. So
I never thought about it quite like that. Last time we talked about Curb, Kyle, you were still finishing the final season. You all the way through the Atlanta
I finished it. I really, honestly, I didn't like the return seasons. Like, I
didn't think it was that great.
I think they're fine, but I'm confused by the characters they brought back. Like, I've said this before, like, Mocha Joe is funny, but like, out of all of the characters in Curb Your Enthusiasm, this is the one you focus in on.
Yeah, that was an interesting
I'm like,
choice.
that's kind of weird.
I agree with that.
Like, that's really weird, actually. And it was cool to see some of the different characters. You know, we didn't get this. Some of the people have died over time and have since died since, like, Richard Lewis, since the show ended. So thank God we got him in there.
Thank God that made it. Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't crazy about the return episodes. As I said, I feel like the show came back too self-aware of itself. And I don't know why they made that choice. Larry was too aware of the insanity around him, as opposed to leaning into trying to solve small problems and getting sucked into them, which I think was the beginning, the first, 9 seasons of Curb, I guess it would be something like that. 8 seasons of Curb.
I would say 8 or 9.
So, it was fine, but yeah, like, my instinct when it came back, and I'm like, I'm not really into this. Like, it's not, I want to really like this a lot more than I do. It was kind of right on, I think, actually, in rewatching it and then finishing that last season. But I'm glad that they came back and did it. They waited too long. I don't know why they waited more than a decade to do it, but they did.
Did COVID have anything to do with it there at the end?
No, because I think I think it started before COVID.
When they decided to bring it back.
No, I think that first season was like 2019, wasn't it? Something like that. I could be wrong about that, but
no, you might be right about that.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't fully remember.
But it's not as memorable as like so anyway,
the earlier seasons. Yeah, it didn't pack the punch.
Everything through the Michael J. Fox season, like the New York season, was all brilliant. That was 9 years basically. So it was
right.
It was excellent.
Him shaking the soda.
Yeah,
like dude,
it's
so
such a
good.
great.
He's telling me he's clomping around in his shoes, like he lives above, lives below him.
He's
What a great
clomping around.
idea.
I remember,
And then he
like,
plays
dude,
the violin, like in the.
Yeah, he plays it.
Yeah, well, and then, but he's playing because he bought someone a violin and he's trying to tell someone about it, and then he's like, "Really, Larry? I'm talking about this, and you're playing a violin, the world's biggest violin."
I love that he was in on the joke. That's so cool, man.
Yeah, it's very funny. Yeah, Michael J. Fox is funny.
Yeah, that
funny
Michael J. There's a lot of great. It's so funny. My Curb Your Enthusiasm. I remember being really young and sitting in the living room with my parents while they were watching it, and I remember being aware of the fact that, like, I don't know if I should be watching this.
Is this for me?
Yeah, is this for me? Is this because the one that I distinctly remember, and I think it's probably the episode that's widely considered to be like where Curb finally hits is the either what is the one where it's it ends with him in the bathroom hugging the girl with the water bottle. He's trying to sneak the water bottle into the movie because they're not allowed to bring outside water.
Oh yeah, that's like a really early episode,
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, she runs out screaming. He's like, "Mommy, Daddy, there's a man in the bathroom and he's got something hard in his pants."
Yeah.
And he just looks mortified and tries to climb out the window. That was like, I remember watching that video. I remember watching that episode when I was like really young and being like, this is wild. This is wild stuff. It's so funny that my parents didn't care. Like, cause they would be, they weren't like super strict necessarily, but like that's a surprising oversight, I think, for them. They just didn't register it as being crazy.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I could see that though, because it kind of delves into those unhinged moments, but it's not always like that.
I just think they thought it was. I just think they thought it was so funny that it was just like whatever.
Yeah.
Like they
or
just
maybe you wouldn't get it.
Yeah, or maybe I wouldn't get it. I got it.
That's kind of fun.
You know, I absolutely got it. But yeah, man, Curb is special. I do agree where it's like it's less consistent, but I do think it has higher highs. But I do think like the lulls are a little bit lullier. And I do think there's an aspect of that network television kind of censorship that adds to like the cleverness. It's kind of like because when you're in a box, you have to think outside of it. And when you don't have a box, you're kind of like strewn to the wind in some sense.
Yeah.
Like limitations are in effect very kind of are liberating sometimes because they allow you to really like stretch that muscle. Like, I don't think the contest would have been nearly as funny if they just spoke as you would.
It's a great. That's
it is the euphemistic language that makes a lot of that stuff funny. Like master of my domain is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's so good.
Or just like slamming the money on the table and like being like, I'm out.
Yeah, saying it without saying it.
Yeah, saying it without saying it. I think there's like a cleverness there, and I do think like the rigidity of network television forced them to be more creative than they otherwise would be. And I think Curb kind of shows that because like Curb is good. It's great. And I think like the funniest moments in that show, I think, are far funnier than any moment in Seinfeld. But I do think there are entire episodes that go by in Curb that don't have that cleverness or that punch in the same way and nearly as consistently.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good point.
But they're both brilliant. Like, I mean, I love Larry David as well. I think he's so funny. He gets in trouble in the funniest ways too. Like, what was that like crypto thing that he did? Like, he did an ad for a cryptocurrency.
Oh yeah.
And then like he got fucked over. And
did he really?
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah, he was like Tom Brady was in that too. I think, and a few other people. MTX, right? MTX.
Yeah, and I remember like him being interviewed about it on like some red carpet thing where he was at like some event and he was like, "So hey, what's going on with this thing?" It's like, "Well, a friend of mine told me to do it." And so I did it like an idiot.
Yeah.
But it's so funny too because in the commercial, the whole point. I don't know if you remember the commercial, Colin. Do you remember the commercial? Yeah. Like the whole point of the commercial is that he's advising you not to do it.
Right. Yeah.
So like it's
actually a good idea.
It's so him. It's crazy that the real life scenario is like unfolds in a way that you would probably write an episode of that show. Because like I could see a world where like there's an episode of the exact show where this happens, and he goes like, "Well, in the show, I actually like in the commercial, I actually say you shouldn't do it. So does that not count for something?" You know, it's so amazing.
I gotta look that up. I can't even believe he did that. But that is a funny premise, so I could see him being sold on it. You know, like this could kind of work for your flavor of humor. Or whatever.
No, absolutely, and
your personality.
It does work. There's a lot of brilliant premises that I think a lot wanted wouldn't touch. Like I loved him putting on the MAGA hat because he just wanted to alienate as many people around him.
Yeah, it's just
want to have a long conversation. It's so good.
I love when a dude rolls up on the motorcycle and he puts the hat on.
So
and the guy's like, "Oh, sorry, just watch where you're going." Yeah, it's good shit.
I don't know. It's great stuff.
You know, I mean, you guys, I mean, even like you have a mic drop, like creating or co-creating Seinfeld, to even do another thing after that and then make it great is so, not only to not, you know, you're not hungry anymore, right? And also to think, how do you follow that? You got to give him a lot of credit for brass balls, you know, and then to make it great. I know I'm talking to like one of the consummate Seinfeld fans. I like Curb actually better, but I also like the Curb of scope. It's bigger. It's a larger cast. It's not a bottle thing where, you know, Seinfeld just seems more campy, like a traditional sitcom where you have your 3 or 4 bottle environments. And sometimes you veer outside of that for a special, but mostly, you know, I like the range. I like the capabilities and where, you know, that Curb could roam a little bit. And I love the characters. I just think the characters are hilarious in that show.
It's great. I think the one thing with Curb is that like it's so there is, because it's about somebody that's created something incredible and had like there's a wealthy angle to it that like is just inherently a little bit less relatable. Like there's always these expensive dinner parties and like the social faux pas at Ben Stiller's dinner parties. Like I can't relate to stabbing Ben Stiller.
Stabs him in the eye. Yeah,
it's hilarious. It's very funny. But there is like a grounded element to Seinfeld where like he's like, you know, he's being audited and like or like there's, you know, he's got to deal with like his neighbors who don't like him because he doesn't want to be courteous in the lobby, you know, like it's just more grounded, and I think that works to its benefit a little bit more. But like they're both brilliant shows. He's a brilliant guy. What I love about him too is like the early stories about him is like where he would go to comedy, he would do he did stand up.
Yeah.
And like there were so many people who tell this story of him where he would start off a joke and if the audience didn't get it, he would curse them out and leave. Like he was like the opposite of Norm in some sense, right? Like where like if a joke didn't work, that was like when Norm was like the happiest. But like if a joke didn't work at all for Larry, he would be furious. He would go into a blind rage and all the other comedians wanted to come see it. Do you know about the 2-form joke that he would do?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Like the whole like this was the joke that would make it, like he would decide whether or not he was going to stick around for the rest of the set based on how people reacted to this joke. But he was like, he would start off and he'd be like, "Hey, I'm very comfortable with you guys. You mind if I use the 2-form with you?" And everybody would be like silent. He's like, what? 2-form, you know, like A2 instead of usted. I think 2 is, you know, 2 is informal. Usted is very formal. I think we can be informal with each other. I mean, Caesar still used the 2-form even after Brutus stabbed him. Which is a fucking ridiculous joke.
Yeah, it is.
To even think to write.
So he didn't get any laughs. That was it.
No, yeah. If nobody understood, like, and he could tell pretty immediately, like, if people even understood what the hell he was talking about. And he would just like, "Fuck you, I don't need this shit," and he would leave. As if he had already created Seinfeld. That's what's so funny about him.
Yeah,
is that, like, he's so neurotic and cowardly and like afraid, but he's also so arrogant. And I don't mean that as like it really is this like this marriage of like self-loathing, but also while believing you're better than other people.
Yeah,
is just very funny, and I think it's more relatable than people I think would assume.
He's relatable.
He's perfect.
Because on some level, everybody thinks they're doing things right. You know, like they're doing like if you don't think you're doing things the right way, why would you be doing them?
You wouldn't do it right.
Right. So everybody on some level has that inherent kind of like. Even if you know intellectually that you can't have everything put together or like maybe there's like stuff to work on, like, you know, inherently that there's like, well, I gotta be, you know, I'm doing it the way that I would do it, which I think is the rightest way to do it. And so to have that feeling of just like, yeah, I'm better, but also I hate myself. It's awesome.
We all have a little bit of both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it is kind of related. My favorite story of his is the quitting Saturday Night Live and then literally going back on Monday and pretending it never happened. That as a writer, right? He was a writer on the show. Got in a huff, quit in a huff.
He got no
out.
sketches. He got like I think one sketch or something on the air an entire season, and he was like, "I don't need that." He cursed out the people in the room, and then and then he just quit, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I just made such a huge mistake." That's an episode of Seinfeld too. Like there's like an episode of Seinfeld built entirely around that. Dude, and it's so funny that that's real.
It's so crazy that that's real, and it worked, and it actually worked.
Yeah,
he
so
went
many
back
of them are,
and then still worked there.
Yeah, that's crazy to me that it worked. Although, if there was any environment that it would work, it would be at SNL.
Yeah, you could see it,
especially back then when everybody was like on doing coke. It's like all right, man, fine, whatever. You had a bad moment.
Let me ask you guys this as consummate Larry David fans. Sometimes in an interview, or if he's doing a podcast, or if he's on a talk show, that Skeletor laugh. That legitimate, genuine laugh.
Yeah.
Which the first couple times I saw it, I thought he was kidding.
That's when he's really laughing, I think. Yeah.
It's such a weird quirk.
It is, yeah.
It is a horrifying.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Really strange.
It is. It's the most uncanny thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it became more common like the further into Curb too. And I think it shows, at least in Curb itself, like when he was really laughing at a take and when he was like laughing for part of the bit.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
But he leaned into it. You're right. It definitely got more. Yeah, not even, I should say, you could even see it on the show in moments, especially with Leon, because I think he ended up cutting up a lot with that. Those exchanges were hilarious. Oh, dude, that character. Leon's my favorite.
Leon coming into the show is that completed that formula, I think. Leon is so great in that show.
It's just so crazy. Just the idea he just never leaves. Like when the blacks all leave, and it's the black family.
True, right? He was the whole New Orleans
for saying
arc,
when the blacks leave. Okay, it's the family name.
The blacks.
But when they leave, that's their names, right? That was like the whole joke.
Yeah, that was the Katrina arc.
Right, exactly. And so like when he marries what's her name, and then that all like blows up quickly, and then everyone leaves, and then he just lives in the pool house, and it's just very funny to the point where it's not even really talked about after a few seasons at all. Like he's just there, he's just around. Yeah. Like, but I did feel like it became too reliant on him. He is funny, but I think he's a little hit or miss too. Like but I think they were just losing. They were losing people that they could really rely on, whether through illness or death or whatever, where it was harder to get. Like Super Dave or whatever, that guy died.
Funkhauser.
Yeah, Funkhauser. And then, obviously Richard Lewis has been sick.
That's right. I forgot he passed.
Yeah, so they never even really got. And he's like a fucking amazing character too. I asked Larry, he says, I asked Larry to stand up and say a word. Someone said he went home to take a shit.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
that voice is so crazy, man.
Yeah, it's crazy voice.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Telltale voice. You know who I love generally, but didn't love him on the show? Vince Vaughn.
Yeah,
I thought he could have been so much funnier on that.
He just doesn't belong on that show, I think.
It was a misfit, you think?
Yeah, he just doesn't. I'm very aware that that's Vince Vaughn.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I can't. I guess the thing about it, because you're playing yourself and you're interacting with other real celebrities all the time, but then Vince Vaughn is here and he's not Vince Vaughn. You know what I mean? Like it's.
That's right. He's a Funkhauser.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right? It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be so bad if it was like a one-off kind of thing, or there weren't that many celebrities on the show. But like the whole point of the show is that like he interacts with these people,
real people. Yeah, I remember saying that to you. I think too, Chris. I was like, it would have actually been funny if Vince Vaughn played himself, and was like somehow like a really insane person like Larry David is, and they just like kind of like became friends through that or whatever. But he was Vince Vaughn. That like would have been very funny to me. But
yeah,
making him a character, I don't think was a good idea.
No, especially because he's just Vince Vaughn. Like it doesn't. That's the thing too. Is like it doesn't feel like he's even playing a character. It just kind of feels like he's playing a heightened version of Vince Vaughn with a different name.
And
so it just kind of becomes like, what is what is going on. Those are my least favorite moments, I think.
Yeah,
with him.
It's funny because we actually kind of got a character in the late Curb seasons with John Hamm, who kind of just played. Like,
I loved him on that.
But he was so funny. Like he watched the newsstand like the entire day.
Dude, that was great. He did great in that show.
Yeah, but he's turning into like where I see him pop up. It's always like in these comedic roles, almost making fun of things. I wonder what that's all about. Because he's at his best in dramas, I think. But
I think he's hilarious. Like he was just on.
He is funny.
I saw an SNL thing with him that was like shockingly funny, where he was like he was on some game show, and the whole premise was that you have to guess. I think the whole thing's like I have to describe something, you have to guess what it is. And he prefaces it by like, yeah, man, like I don't even really need the money here. I just kind of want an experience. I'm a little nervous. I might say something that might fuck everything up, but like I'm happy to be here. And then the first thing is like, name something racist. And he goes, me. And it's just like, it keeps getting worse. He's funny. Like, I think it's one of those things with like Bryan Cranston and like these other, and even Robert De Niro too, where like, if you can do both of those things, like you should try to do it. Like you might as well broaden your range as much as possible. Like I remember thinking when I saw Robert De Niro in like a comedy with like Meet the Parents and like Meet the Fockers and that stuff, I remember being like, why would they? Right. And then I watched it and I was like, oh no, Robert De Niro is hilarious. I got nipples.
He knows how to be funny.
Yeah, definitely.
He has that.
Can you milk me? I think about that line all the time. Like that line, I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I barely remember anything about it, but like that line, I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me? Has like been sewn and etched into my cerebrum for like the longest fucking time.
That movie's excellent.
It's such a
Meet the Parents. Yeah.
Larry David. That's a good one. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm just gonna. I got to give it to one guy. If I had to give it to one guy, you know why? I celebrate. This is one actor who I literally love everything he's ever done. Celebrate the entire catalog, and he's been acting for decades, and that's Al Pacino. You know what I mean? And you know why I'm thinking about him? Because he's getting old, and I'm getting a little concerned about good old Al. But everything down from Godfather to Heat to Carlito's Way to Donnie Brasco to Glengarry Glen Ross, and then young Al Pacino, right? Like And Justice for All, Serpico, Panic in Needle Park. Which, by the way, that's on Amazon right now. If anybody, I think Panic in Needle Park was his first, significant budget feature film. He is brilliant in that. Like young Al Pacino, you want a taste of amazing acting? Oh, dude. I love it. I love him when he's just holistically good. I love him when he's campy. I just love everything the guy's ever done. I love the variety stuff that he's done. Dog Day Afternoon is probably my favorite movie of all time. If you haven't seen that movie, that would be my number one movie recommendation, especially of a movie that predates the mid 80s. You know what I mean? Like a 70s movie, an older film. Got to see it. So I would just give Pacino the flowers. I just love everything. I think the one smear on this whole thing is the Dunkin' Donuts commercials. I don't know why he ever did it. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
The Dunkachino, whatever type thing. I think it's actually kind of funny, but I would rather he didn't. Rather he didn't do it. But as I understand it, though, I'm reading Sonny Boy, which is his biography, and he ran into a lot of financial hiccups, right? The Dunkachino might have been the answer.
Yeah,
to that.
That's what I was looking for. Like, he must have needed the money.
He had to. It's crazy. It's crazy when big, movie stars like that, celebrities worth millions and millions of dollars, fall into financial troubles.
I don't even understand. I don't even understand it. I think it's embarrassing, personally.
It's crazy.
I'm going to be totally honest with you. I think it's.
more money, more problems. Right?
It's completely embarrassing. But yeah,
still, it's just like, wow, you've been the marquee guy for decades, bringing in millions and millions every year. It doesn't seem that hard.
Well,
to stay in the black.
That was a Norm thing too. Like Norm had like a huge gambling thing.
He gambled, right? He had a gambling thing.
But yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of things like that where it's like for certain people, I'm like, how could you possibly lose all that? But then there are certain people who are just very famous who aren't like like I was actually surprised. Like I'm constantly surprised at how little actors make from the perspective of like, oh, these are actors that I know very well or who have seen in a lot of things, and they just they make fucking nothing because royalties are not a thing anymore. Because it's streaming. And so like it used to be like, it was like, if you got, dude, I don't even begrudge people. Like if you lose all your money now, like that's not even surprising to me. If you lose your money in like the 80s when you're getting royalty, or like the 90s, you're getting royalties for fucking everything. And like, it's just like, I don't even know how you do that. I don't even know how you manage to do that. But now it's like with streaming, you know, actors don't get royalties. A lot of shit's just gone. And it's why you see a lot of these podcasts now, actually, which I don't know if you guys have seen, like some of these like people from like old Disney shows, they start, or like Nickelodeon shows, they'll start a podcast.
Everybody.
Yeah, and people will give them shit for it, but it's like, no, like, of course. They're not getting royalties. They're known for this thing. Like, why wouldn't you try to get something out of this thing?
Yeah, capitalize on it. I don't blame them for that at all.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I do think that once you get into, you're an adult actor, athlete, it happens a lot in athletics. But whatever, you know, entertainer or something, and you make millions of dollars and then you go totally bust, that's bad news, dude. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Because the reality is I could use a fraction of Al Pacino's entire earnings and like not only live for the rest of my life, but give away tons of money generationally, probably. So it's like, you really fucked up at some point, because I just get mad about that, because people would kill for a fraction of that wealth and they wouldn't squander it. And it's like, what are you doing? You know, it bothers the shit out of me. There's I bring it up sometimes, a great documentary called Broke. It's an early 30 for 30 from ESPN about athletes that lose all their money and like all the crazy shit that happens. And it's like, dude, it's frustrating as fuck. People have to like grind for $15 an hour or whatever, $10 an hour, and you're out here just doing something fairly trivial and then blowing it. Yeah.
I remember when that Boogie documentary came out, and like they showed about like all the
all the
money that he blew, and I was just like, God damn it, dude. If I got that much money, if I got that much money in like a month, it's not even, he wasn't even making like millions or anything, but like if I got paid what Boogie got paid in just that 1 month that like was shown about, and there's like, I would be set, actually. Like I would have no issues at all to worry about.
Dude, I mean, think about it this way. You could put $1 million, and it's a lot of money. $1 million is a lot of money, but I'm saying like you could grind and save over your life $1 million, and you work your career, and then at some point you are able to save this amazing amount of money and just put that little bit amount of money comparable to what these people make into a CD or something, bearing 5% interest. And you would be able to probably, if you had like your expenses taken care of and you were smart with your money and all of the rest, like could probably just live on it. Like, that's why I don't understand what 5% of $1 million a year is $50,000.
Right.
Like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, why are people so aggressive with their money, so careless with it, and they can't extract any value out of it? And meanwhile, people have to live hand to mouth, and they don't have these options. And that sort of spurious kind of waste of money bothers me a lot.
Well, in those 30 for 30s, what was normally the problem? I don't know what happened with Pacino. But what was normally the problem in that?
I don't know.
Just irresponsibility, or
just general irresponsibility. Also, people, some of it's drugs, some of it's just buying too much, some of it's getting taken advantage of, taking bad advice, giving money to too many people, saying yes to too many people, assuming you're going to make this much money for a long period of time. Like, that's the crazy thing to me, is one of these guys even gets a low end NFL contract, 3 years for $15 million or whatever. You're going to clear after taxes and your agent $8 million probably. It's like, if I had that contract, I'd be like, I don't really need to do anything else for the rest of my life. Like, everything else is just gravy, but I'm going to live really carefully so that this is like it. And so that's obviously a very unique situation too. A lot of people don't get into that situation, but that's like a low end kind of athlete's experience.
Well, it is, because endorsements, sponsors,
right,
all that kind of thing. That's just the tip of the iceberg.
So anyway, I don't know how I went off on that. Oh, yeah, because of Pacino's. Yeah, so it's interesting that a guy with his amazing filmography is wanting is too bad. And some of these guys, get taken advantage of, take bad advice, make bad business investments too. I mean, they're definitely bombarded with the idea that it's not forever and that they should be careful. So that's the other thing too. It's not like, for all the people that want to take advantage of them and separate them from their money, there's got to be people in their lives who are being like, you got to be really careful. And so it's just a matter of the advice you take. Because there's probably some bit actors that made hundreds of thousands or low millions of dollars on these Disney shows during their run or whatever, and they're like, yeah, I'm good. So it's just a matter of perspective, I guess.
Yeah, that's definitely true. He's probably the only one, though, I could think of, actor or actress, where I just celebrate every single thing he's ever done. And I think, a lot of it has to do with just his performance in those things. Would I have liked that film if he didn't play the part? You know what I mean? There's something about, they were just simpatico. It must be a taste thing. I can't even think of one. There's always an anomaly. And if I look at any other actor that I like or actress, their whole filmography, there's always a blip. I didn't really like that thing. I didn't really like that thing. But the other 8 things are cool. For him, it's like to a movie. It's like, as long as he's in it, I love it. So I don't know. Maybe I'm his distant nephew or something. Maybe there's a, like a blood connection there. I don't know.
Wasn't he, didn't he show up at the Game Awards or something the last couple of years? That was weird.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it was just recently, actually.
Yeah, it was either last year or the year before.
Did he do something?
Yeah, he presented.
Oh, no. No, it wasn't this year. It was because this just previous year was Harrison Ford.
Right.
It was the year before, I think, for Indiana Jones. And I think the last year before that, he showed. Yeah, because he give the award to the Hellblade actress.
Yeah, best award for best performance at the Game Awards 2022. So it's 3 years ago.
Oh, 3 years ago. Okay, interesting. They just called up on Pacino. He wasn't doing a voice in a game or something.
No,
like that. He wasn't affiliated in any way.
He doesn't know what a video game is. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I looked at his filmography. I don't think he's done anything. Like there was that Scarface game, but I think they just used his likeness. So I don't think he even did any motion.
How did I not name Scarface in that list of movies? Yeah, thank you for that.
I never watched that Amazon show that he did. What is it called? Hunters. That's supposed to be pretty good.
Oh, I did get. It's incredibly violent. I think that's why I got like 2 or 3 episodes in. It's a great premise. If you don't know, I won't even spoil it. But it's very violent. It's very gory.
It's about Nazi hunters, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Yeah.
In the 70s, so like the Nazis are starting to get kind of old.
It's pretty neat. I forgot all about that. Maybe I'll go back to it. Yeah, it was just there's something off-putting about the violence. Maybe it was just where I was meeting it. I just wasn't ready for it at that time. I gotta give it another shot.
The Mossad just disappearing these dudes over time is it's such an amazing story.
There's a lot about this right now.
Yeah, it's just in Central America and South America, especially through the rat lines, all these Nazi officers ended up over there, and they just fucking made some problems where people are like, you can't just be stealing people from territorial land and then bringing them back to Israel for trial, but that's what they did. Adolf Eichmann, I think, was the biggest one that they caught down there.
In Argentina?
Yeah, but there were others too.
It's so funny that we've definitely talked about that, but that's where they ended up. That's where they filtered out to hide. Yeah,
I think a lot of it has to do, I think it's complicated, but I think a lot of it has to do with the Catholic Church. Because the Catholic Church was somewhat sympathetic to you actually see this a little bit in the Indiana Jones game that I'm playing now. Well, because Italy was, fascist, Rome was there. I think the Catholic Church really largely tried to stay out, but I think there were some sympathies. Anyway, there was a lot of Catholic priests that ran like this refugee program for Nazi officers and got them out. And so I think they went to like these Catholic countries where they
that does make sense.
Install them.
I never knew. Yeah. Wow.
And then they worked like these odd jobs and stuff. So, I mean, some of the dudes like just took different names. The way they captured a bunch of SS guys were because each SS person had a tattoo, like an SS tattoo, I think, in their armpit or something like that, like something weird. And so when they were arresting everyone after the war, they were looking for like specific people. And it would be unusual for you to be a high ranking officer and not in the SS. So I think that's how Eichmann got away. Actually, I think it was him because I don't think he had that tattoo, strangely.
Oh, okay.
So a lot of the things they did were like so stupid in hindsight. It's like, why would you mark yourselves as like, we're the craziest of the killers, Well,
they really thought, I mean, they thought they were going to win.
Yeah, they didn't know it was going to turn out that way.
That's why they recorded everything.
Yeah, they in intricate detail. Yeah, like the Waffen guys with like their skull tattoos and stuff. It's like, it's just so interesting. Like
they recorded it like a band would record behind the scenes of like an album that they think is going to really hit. It's just like, we built this gas chamber in Poland. We think it's going to be.
Yeah, they were like master propagandists. I think just capturing everything for use in for those purposes. You know,
Yeah,
so crazy.
The craziest piece of Dagan and I have gone over this in the past, but the craziest piece of propaganda art is that. Do you remember? It was like it's the Nazi American propaganda, and it's like a huge hulking beast, but it's all the tropes and things that they would make fun of for like what Americans are.
I don't know if I know this.
I'll see if I can find it up. Propaganda. Yeah. So. Yeah, here it is. It's the Liberators. There's actually a whole Wikipedia dedicated to it.
Oh,
but if you go to this and then you click the first picture, it's the Liberators art. And it's like,
oh my gosh,
this is like a crazy piece of propaganda art,
dude. That is fucking disturbing.
Like where the legs are missiles and it's got like hands full of money and like the Native American on it.
Spattered missile.
Yeah, and like the Israeli flag or what would have been just the Star of David and. Yeah, it's interesting.
Wild.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, they were like all over just using that level of imagery, and I really think, unfortunately, they were just they obviously thought they were going to win, and they were preparing probably to write the history. You know?
Wow, that's a haunting image. I can't stop looking at it.
Yeah, did you get a high res version of it?
Actually, it's one of those ones where you click on it, it gets smaller.
Yeah, I'll see if I'll find
a little bigger.
Yeah,
I know it's pretty big.
That is a really crazy drawing.
Yeah, here's
really disturbing.
Here's a bigger one. Yeah, and you can see like it's an SS cartoon in the corner.
You know what's really haunting about it too, dude? Like it's got multiple arms, but the upper arms are African American. They're black.
Yeah,
and some of the limbs are Caucasian.
Yeah.
Holy shit!
I wonder what the hell. Yeah, it's got a Klan hood on.
Yeah, he's got a Klan hood,
which is interesting.
Yeah, and its chest are like black slaves in a cage.
Oh, I see that now. And he's got the Native American on top of his shoulder with the noose. Oh man, that blood-soaked missile is like, holy shit, man.
Yeah, so these were hanging. I think
I want to fight this thing in a video game, though. I got to be real.
It's a boss. That's a final boss.
Like this is a cool ass fucking boss.
Yeah, this is like something from BioShock or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's very BioShock.
But yeah, for people that want to see it, it's just look up Nazi propaganda art Liberators.
Liberators.
You'll find it. Yeah, I think that was hanging in occupied Netherlands, something like that, which is pretty interesting. So
that really is. Well, listen, boys, I'm satisfied.
Excellent.
If you are.
Yeah.
All right, let's go around for goodbyes. Kyle, stay with you, my friend. What's
Sure.
going on heading into this weekend?
Nothing really. We went out to dinner with Uncle Mike and Aunt Carla a couple of days ago, so we're gonna stay in tonight. Actually,
how are they doing?
They're good. They're good. Aunt Carla lost a lot of weight. Actually,
good.
You're gonna see her, I think, for the graduation.
Yeah,
party.
we'll see her in less than 2 months.
By the way, we're not gonna be able to read. So we were talking to them. We're not gonna be able to come to the graduation. We appreciate the invite, but this is kind of the problem: is that Aunt Carla and Uncle Mike recommended, we feel bad for our dogs because they're with us all the time, so we want to leave them with people that they know and like or whatever. So Uncle Mike and Aunt Carla have this really nice younger girl. She's like in her 20s. She watches their dogs when they go, and she just stays in their house. And she does this for a few people, so we use her too. So when they're going somewhere, we can't use her because they're using her already. They have like a first right of refusal with this girl. So then we go back, and so we're like, in times like where that happened, we're like, oh, we can just have mom watch.
Right.
And then mom's going too. So we really just have no one to leave them with. So I'll be sending my money and a card in the mail. That's all she's going to want anyway.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think the dad of the graduating kid gets money.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the kid gets a little bit of money.
That's a tradition.
I think that's if I'm not mistaken.
Tradition dictates I make the check out to you and then you divvy it up. But yeah, I was telling them in that Lil chose Miami, and they were excited about that. So
yeah, she's excited.
Yeah,
she's got back. I got my Miami dad.
I noticed that. Yeah, a little preemptive, in my opinion.
That's how I was told. No, this is how she told me. She came out of the car in the driveway from Miami from the trip. She said she was going to take a week to debate, and she handed me when I was helping her unload the bag, she handed me the hat. I made my decision. So, yeah,
that's wonderful.
I'm happy for her. Yeah, she's excited. She's excited. It's supposed to be really nice. I mean, I didn't get to go. Only the wifey and the daughter went.
You got to take out a second mortgage now?
No, they're giving her a good ride. Thank God, man. They're
that's
giving
awesome.
her they're giving her a lot. You know what came through that I didn't consider? Grants.
Sorry, that's my fault. We had a technical issue, Dig, and I interrupted you.
Oh, what was I even saying? Oh, just that
We're just reflecting about the money that came through.
Yeah. I mean, it's
that's good. Yeah. That's a relief then. So you don't have to worry too much.
I'll take it. Listen, I'll take it. Chris, going into the weekend, it was always good to see you, my dude. This is the crazy thing. It's almost 5 here, but the upside is it's not even 2:00 there. You got the whole day in front of you. Now I'm jealous.
Yeah, I mean that's the trade off of being on this side is that I have to get up a lot earlier for these shows than East Coast people, but I get the rest of the day. That is kind of nice. I haven't checked out. I haven't even seen outside yet, so I don't know what the situation. If it's not, if it's nice,
that happens.
Cloudy. Let me.
When you start early, this is what happens.
It's a cloudy day. I was gonna walk, but like now I'm I don't know. I want the sun. I want the sun to be out if I'm gonna go for a walk. But I think I'm sure like this is a weekend that's like I'm sure I have things to do. I'm sure there are obligations that I'm sure there's something I said yes to. You know, that I'm gonna have to like check my calendar for. But like at this very moment, I have no obligations the next couple of days. Which is
that's nice.
Excellent.
Ooh, that sounds good to me. I'm jealous. Just doing nothing.
Yeah, what are you up to, Dick?
I don't know. We're just at the beach. We're down for Easter.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Easter brunch on Sunday. We try to get down here for Easter if we can. Just us and Helen and Charlie. So just us and Helene's parents. Should be chill.
Is the beach?
You know what I discovered? This is what I'm going to spread I got to spread the gospel on this show. Love on the Spectrum. Have you guys watched this yet?
Oh, I've heard of it, but I've not watched it.
Dude,
no.
I've watched it.
It's so wholesome. When I first heard about a dating show with, what do you say, people on the spectrum, right? I said that sounds a little bit.
Exploitative,
questionable.
Yeah,
maybe we're exploiting these people.
See that. Yeah.
Dude. It's not like that at all. It's the most wholesome content. These people are so delightful.
I know, yeah,
pure. I highly recommend it. I'm addicted to it. I think about it like 3 or 4 times a day leading up to the night. Like I can't wait to sit down and watch a show. It's that good.
It's a feel-good show.
It's a feel-good show.
It's not cynical, which is like, I don't know. Yeah, there is that premise is so easily like, and you know what? To be fair, like it is exploitative.
It is.
You know, but yeah, like it is like it's not dramatized. How do you even say that?
Yeah, dramatized.
Dramatized.
Thank you.
I just fucking George Bushed a word there.
Yeah, it happens.
That happens.
It happens.
That happens when you talk for 4 hours.
I misunderestimated myself. But yeah, like I like that show too. Like I watched it too, thinking like, oh man, I wonder how this is gonna be. And I just remember being like, oh, I like these people a lot.
Oh, you're rooting for them.
Yeah, you really are. And I looked it up too later, like how many of them are still together, and a lot of them are.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is nice because I feel like in most reality shows that are of this type, where like, oh, it's dating oriented, like those things don't really like, it's all for the camera or whatever. It's just like people kind of hyping themselves up to be a character on television. It's not real, but they're not approaching it from a perspective of like, oh, I just want to be on TV, and they're actually like genuine about it. And so it's kind of refreshing. It's like it is actual reality TV, I guess, in some sense.
Yeah, but it's true. They're so the people are just so joyful. They're so full of joy, these people. Yeah, they're just, you know what it is about these people on the show? They're completely unjaded. These are just completely unjaded people.
Right, yeah.
They're no percent jaded. And that's so rare.
It is. Right? Yeah, they're not crushed by the weight of the world, which is nice.
Nope.
There's an older guy on that show that I really like too. He's like the nicest dude ever. Like I wish I knew somebody like that. He's
yeah,
like 50,
seriously.
He's like a 50-year-old, and he's just like, he just tells everybody like, oh man, you look great, and you know, oh, that was a great joke you told, and it's just like, oh god damn it, dude. I would never be this nice to anybody.
Or if you were, you would want something, right? It's like, you know, the kindness for, you know, it's Yeah, they're just genuinely, authentically nice people.
Yeah.
I didn't know I could like a show like this. I was very cynical going in. Helene's like, you got to watch this. And I was like, I don't know. And very reluctant. Unbelievable. I'm looking forward to it right now. So I'm thinking about it. I'll be honest with you. It's that good. So that looks like that's going to be my weekend. And we're just going to chill. Try to play board games with 2 teenage kids. We brought a bunch of board games down. Selling the teenage kids on board games might be tough. It's a rare thing, but I think we could pull it off.
What board game are you? What board games do you have?
What did we bring down? We brought down. What is the name of it? Hold on. I bring down King of Tokyo, but no one likes to play that with me. That's my favorite game.
I don't even know that game. I don't think.
That's a really fun game, but it's a little nerdy for my family. Snake Oil is a great one.
Oh, I know Snake Oil.
Snake Oil is a good one for my family. We like that. What is the other one called? Just One? I think it's called Just One. Don't quote me, but you have a little dry erase board, and it's basically almost like Family Feud. It gives you a buzzword or a sentence, and you have to think of like things. It's actually more fun than it sounds. So there's just a few things. We don't want to push our luck. But Snake Oil is a good one. Especially my daughter's going into advertising. I'm like, you should learn how to do this. You got to, create a product, have a tagline, try to sell it to everybody that this is what you're going to do. Right? So selling is practice.
Board games are hard. It's hard to sell. I'm not a board game guy. Like, I have a lot of friends who really are. Like, every time they gather, they have like something going on. Like,
super into it.
Yeah, like, and there's some that they play that I hate, and some that I hate. They have a game called Exploding Kittens, and I hate it.
Oh, we have that.
I thoroughly hate it. But they have another one called Secret Hitler that I think is fun.
I never heard of that one.
Oh, Secret Hitler's great. Like, the whole point is like you have to. I mean, I'm probably butchering like the finer details of the rules, but like the idea is like you get a card telling you whether or not you're a liberal or a fascist, and then one of you is Hitler, and you have to basically guess who it is. And like there's an election every turn where like you get to pick a new chancellor, and if Hitler becomes chancellor, like everybody loses. And the goal is to basically eliminate suspected Nazis before Hitler can become chancellor or something.
How many people do you usually play that with?
It's like maybe
it says 5 to 10 players.
Yeah, it's like a
board game
5 minimum.
5, okay, 5's good.
Yeah, Hitler. It's a fun game because it's just all about duplicity. Like duplicitous games are so fun to play.
I think
that's why Among Us was so big when it happened. It's just like it is fun to just like what me, a little old me. But the one that I always love is Taboo. I think Taboo is exceptionally great.
Taboo, I never played.
You never played Taboo? That. Taboo is
no.
Taboo's fun because it's frustrating. Because it's like the whole point is like you have a card with something, you have a word, and you have to get the other person to say that word, and there are like maybe like several other phrases underneath it that you can't say.
Right, that's right. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, I played this. This is cool. Yeah, so like you can't use like the most obvious things or whatever.
Yeah, so if the word was like sponge, you couldn't use like maybe like clean, yellow, dishes, and like that kind of thing. And you couldn't say the word obviously. And so you have to
the example here is bacon. You can't say pig, eat, breakfast, sausage, or eggs.
Oh, wow. But you still have to get them to guess that word.
Yeah, and you have a time limit, and the goal is to collect as many cards as possible, I think.
That's fun.
We kind of play house rules. Like most of the board games I've ever played, we've really only played for the experience of doing it. Like I barely ever keep score in port. I could give a fuck. I just like yelling at somebody because they couldn't get broom, even though I was so clear with what I was describing. It's fun. I recommend it. I think anybody can like that game.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
It doesn't even really feel like a board game. It just kind of feels like aggressive charades.
That's what it sounds like.
It's fun. It's a good game. Highly recommend.
Pictionary. See, I could sell my kids on that. I feel like the less stuff, the less board game, like Chris said, that's the selling point. They don't want to feel like they're kind of held hostage to this board game with cards and dice and
like just the amount of rules to memorize. Like
rules.
No, just give me a premise. Give me a board game with a premise, and that's it.
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good point.
Those are the best ones, I think.
All right, maybe I'll go buy that. Maybe I'll run up to Kmart and go.
Get those kids going on a game of Monopoly.
Playing Monopoly.
You always hate Monopoly. You always
not a
hate
big Monopoly guy.
I always hated Monopoly too, especially in April. Like, why playing Monopoly in April is crazy. Like after tax day, like, oh, let's play Monopoly.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, great.
I love Monopoly. I was always a Monopoly sharp.
You were always the Monopoly guy. Guys, watch this. I could do this because I'm on the bed. Look.
He's going to bed. There he goes.
Oh, that doesn't look right.
You didn't see my crotch.
No, but the way you were holding the microphone, it looked like you were laying on the bed holding your codpiece. There you go. That's better.
There we go.
That's better.
All right, my friends, you ready to go out of here? Let's tidy up.
Yeah.
Let's go. Little housekeeping first. http://www.patreon.com/laststandmedia for early ad-free access, and https://laststandmedia.store for the merch. For Chris, Kyle, and myself, Dagster Moriarty, and Maddie, we hope you're all right out there.
He's fine.
I'm Dagster Moriarty saying thank you very much. I'm Dagster Bob Barker Moriarty saying thank you very much. Thank you for letting me hold my microphone for 4 hours. That was an adventure. We'll see you next time. We'll see you next week. Thank you for listening. We love you. We appreciate you. Now, go listen to your second favorite podcast. Peace.
Constellation is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show was conceived by and is directed and hosted by me, Colin Moriarty. My co-host is my brother, Dagan Moriarty. The show is produced by Last Stand's executive producer, Dustin Furman. All Last Stand theme music is by Ramon Narvaez, and all of our graphics and logos are by Dagan Moriarty. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's podcasts, including Constellation, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest support tier, and we're infinitely grateful for your thoughtful and kind contributions to our independent endeavor. All right. Oh my God. So you're going to hold your mic?
Got to hold it.
All right. Then you got to keep it in the same place.
Unhinged.
You got to keep it in the
amazing.
So you got to keep it in the same place then. Good luck.
Dude, this is going to be crazy.
Oh, good. No,
I love it.
I don't know if it's going to be crazy. I mean,
we got to mix it up.
Yeah. All right. Fair.
This is crazy for us.
We're going wild today.
This is
hold
wild,
my
my
microphone.
friend.
You never know what'll happen.
Dustin, you can put this at the end if you want. We don't do that anymore. Dustin's too lazy to edit things into the end of the videos now.
Really? We need the post credits. Come on.
I just want to hear him. I just want him to be really upset when he hears this.